presentation of Fox Sports.
We are Baltimore. We are Wisconsin.
Saturday afternoon, Philadelphia, PA. That's William Penn on top of that building. And greeting all of those entering Citizens Bank Park. This is game 3 of this 4-game series. The Brew Crew and the Philadelphia Phillies. This series is all even at 1 apiece. Jonathan Villar's had a great series. The Philly prospect at one point, he's got 3 hits and 2 homers in this series. Maikel Franco, he's been a hard out all year for Brewer pitching. And we take a look at today's pitching matchup. Junior Guerra on the mound for the Brew Crew, coming off his first loss of the season against Jeremy Hellickson. He is their ace, their opening day starter. He's been terrific as of late. And hi, everybody. We welcome you from Citizens Bank Park. Great to have you with us today alongside Bill Schroeder. I'm Brian Anderson. Telly Hughes, our reporter this afternoon. Well, Junior Guerra gets the ball today. He's coming off a loss his last time out. He's been a great surprise. No question about his impact. But now he's getting into the window where teams are starting to familiarize themselves with him. We'll see how he adjusts to big league hitters.
Well, again, I mean, what he's been doing so far has been very good. He did suffer a loss his last time out against the St. Louis Cardinals. Give a 3-run third inning, 4 runs overall, only 3 earned. There was an error in there, but Guerra very aggressive with a fastball. He's been very good with that pitch. He's established fastball very well, but that split change has been a difference maker for him. And it's not just the split change. Curveball's been very good. I mean, he's been very impressive out there on the mound. He looks like he's very much under control. Even when he's in trouble, he's a poised guy. He's been a good shot in the arm for that starting rotation.
Well, we're ready to roll here today from Philadelphia. Got a beautiful day for baseball. Game 3 of this 4-game series is coming your way. We've got the lineups and the first pitch next on Fox Sports Wisconsin. Citizens Bank Park. Just about ready for first pitch. Today's game on Fox Sports Wisconsin is presented by Potawatomi Hotel and Casino. Now we got a great day for the Grand Ole game today. 82 degrees. Brian Anderson with Bill Schroeder, Telly Hughes. Today's game being produced by Brent Reeland and directed by Mark Vittorio. Well, just a few moments ago, the always entertaining Philly fanatic. You see, Martin Maldonado stole his keys from his four-wheeler, made the fanatic beg to get him back, and Maldonado was making him do dog tricks.
Man, I'll tell you, that guy's something else.
He's the best.
I mean, he's mesmerizing. You sit up here, you watch him before the game, you kind of forget there's a game going on. He's something. And then he went over to the policeman over there and wanted him to arrest Maldonado.
Oh, the fanatic. He's a one of a kind. Great way to get the day started. Always puts a smile on your face. And good for Martin Maldonado to play along with that crazy man inside that suit. All right, let's check the Brewers lineup today. Craig Counsell turns this one in. It's courtesy of Potawatomi. Jonathan Villar leads off, then Aaron Hill, followed by Ryan Braun. Got the change at the top with Hill batting second. Middle of the order is Lucroy, Carter, and Jeanette. Santana, Neuenhuis, and Junior Guerra round out the starting nine that will face the Phillies opening day starter, and he's been very good for Philadelphia. Right-hander Jeremy Hellickson.
Kind of burst my bubble. There's a guy in that suit.
There is, wow. I think.
Well, Jeremy Hellickson came over from the Arizona Diamondbacks. Before that, he was a Tampa Bay Ray. He's had some good years in the in the major leagues. 12th start, a .368 earned run average for the veteran right-hander. Last time out, very good against the Nationals, and no decision. 7 innings, 1 run. He did not walk a batter, 8 strikeouts. Had to be taken out after 79 pitches for a pinch hitter. The Phillies needed some offense.
He is one of 3 former rookies of the year that play for the Philadelphia Phillies. That's a good trivia question. But Hellickson toes the rubber. He's got 1 year left on a contract. He'll be a free agent at season's end, and if he keeps pitching like this, he is going to be a much sought after free agent after this season. Jonathan Villar digs in. We're ready to go today on a Saturday afternoon. First pitch is in there for a strike. C.B. Buckner calling the balls and strikes today. See the numbers on Jonathan Villar. He's hitting .306. Continues to set the pace in the major leagues for stolen bases. And he's broken out the power game the last 2 days here in Philly. Homers in each of the first 2 games. Both of them have come left-handed. Hit a put-away 2-run homer in the 9th inning on Thursday, and then yesterday an opposite field home run off the foul pole in left. Was once one of the top prospects in the Phillies organization, and then traded to the Astros in the Roy Oswalt deal. He still has a lot of friends that play for the Phillies. He came up with guys like Michael Franco, and knows him well. Cesar Hernandez. Familiar with a number of the members of the coaching staff and organization.
And normally when he's able to get on base a number of times, Brewers are going to be pretty successful in putting runs on the board. Just continues to get more confidence each and every day he goes out there. Has done a bang-up job in a leadoff spot.
2 balls, 2 strikes on VR. And there's that signature changeup by Jeremy Hellickson. That's the pitch that separates him. When he's got that going, he can be one of the real tough right-handers in the game.
Yeah, he throws a lot of them too. Curveball to go with it. He's got 2 different fastballs, and yeah, he's been very good. He pounds the strike zone, doesn't walk many.
Hellickson now 29 years of age. He's won 4 games this season. And his 11 starts for the Phillies. ERA in good shape at .368, but he's pitched much better across his last 4 than even those numbers would indicate. And VR turns on one. Right field hit well, and it's gone. A home run for VR. His 3rd home run in as many games. Boy, what a power surge he is on. His 5th home run. He had 2 homers when this series began. The last 3 have come as a left-handed hitter, and the Brewers strike early here today.
Yep, on a 2-strike pitch, and Hellickson trying to get that fastball. Looked like it stayed in the middle in portion of the strike zone. Just drops the head of the bat on it and knocks it out of here. Boys, the ball's going to be flying out of here today. It's hot. You know, day games always travels a little bit better, so pitchers beware today.
Here's Aaron Hill now, been elevated to the 2 spot in the batting order. He takes strike 1 from Hellickson. That is one area of Hellickson's game that he would like to improve upon. The Phillies starter today has now allowed 11 home runs, this being his 12th start of the season.
And you figure a little bit of that is due to where he pitches, and it's just going to get worse for the pitchers for the Phillies pitching in this ballpark half the time.
Aaron Hill on the ground short. This will be Freddie Galvis to make the play for out number 1.
Well, let's check out the Phillies Menards defense today. You got Ashe, Herrera, and Goodell in the outfield. Tyler Goodell getting his first start in the series. Franco, Galvis, Hernandez, and Joseph from third to first, and the veteran receiver back behind home plate, his first start of the series, Carlos Ruiz.
And there's the skipper, Pete McCannon, the bilingual manager of the Philadelphia Phillies. Longtime coach in the big leagues, base coach, bench coach. Here's Ryan Braun now with a run in and 1 out. Braun comes in batting .341. Second best batting average in the National League to start play today. Daniel Murphy is the league leader, hitting .386 for the Nationals. Ryan with 9 homers, 33 runs batted in. Braun with 1 hit in the series. That came on Thursday night. He is 1 for 8. Did drive in a run with a ground out yesterday. And is now 2 hits shy of 1,500 for his career in his 10th season in the big leagues.
Yep, but he's always done pretty well against the Phillies and in this ballpark.
One-two pitch from Hellickson. Floats the changeup in there.
A lot of off-speed stuff. He's thrown cutters, a couple of cutters to get ahead of him, and he just tried to drop a changeup on him. That's not exactly where he wants that changeup. Middle in. That was in off the plate.
Brewers faced Hellickson last year as a member of the Diamondbacks. That was in Arizona, and he pitched well that game. He went 6 shutout innings. 2-2. Another change, and Braun out in front. Opponent's batting average against the changeup. You can break down the statistics to each pitch that a pitcher throws, and there is reason why Hellickson uses that changeup so much. Opponent's batting average against that pitch is at .064.
Yeah, it's a good one. Yep. Well, almost 1 every 4 pitches that Hellickson throws is a changeup. And you know why. That's the reason. Those numbers that you just talked about. He mixes it up very well. Uses all 4 quadrants of the plate.
Well, he's had a lot more strikeouts this year than in previous years of his career. He looks like he's back to his Rookie of the Year form as Braun rips one into right field, a base hit. Just an incredible knack to drive the ball to right field. Very unusual for a right-handed hitter to do what Braun does each and every day he's in the lineup.
He hit the ball to right field like a left-handed pull hitter. That was about the best hittable pitch that Braun had in that at bat, straight down the middle. A mistake by Hellickson, and he's able to drive that one into right field. Good extension. Look at the balance for Braun. Just incredible balance, and follows through, and he's got that big bat, that 35-inch bat. When he makes contact, he hits him hard.
Well, that'll give Jonathan Lucroy an at-bat with a man at first. Hellickson is a strike thrower. His strikeout to walk ratio is about 4-to-1 this year. So you know, as a hitter, you're going to see some pitches around the strike zone. Lucroy's had a nice series, 3 for 7 thus far. Had a hot homestand as well. Lucroy was 9 for 17 on the last homestand. He's great in this venue. The best batting average at Citizens Bank Park. Gaudy numbers here in Philadelphia for Lucroy. In the air to center field, hit well. Back is Herrera, drifting to the track, and he's got it just shy of the warning track for the second out.
And squared that one up nicely, but kind of died out there in center field. Didn't quite get all of it.
So 2 men are out, and that'll bring up Chris Carter. Hey, a reminder that today's game between the Brewers and the Phillies is being broadcast on AFN, the American Forces Network, broadcasting to the U.S. Armed Forces serving around the world on land and on ships at sea. We welcome all of you watching us today, and hopefully we're giving you a sense of home, whether it's Philadelphia or Milwaukee or just the United States. We appreciate your service. Glad to have you with us this afternoon from Philadelphia.
Yeah, a little bit of a diversion for him for 3 hours or so.
Chris Carter with 2 outs. The game started with a Jonathan VR homer. Has the Brewers on top 1-0 early.
The Phillies have been attacking Carter with sliders in this series, and when they put the slider where you want it, nobody's going to hit it, but he's waiting for the mistakes. The fastball out over the plate, the slider that just spins up there. That's been a pitch that the opposition has been giving quite a bit to Carter as of late.
Slings a fastball in there for a strike. Hellickson ahead of Chris Carter. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Spent 5 years with the Rays, traded to Arizona last year, full season with the Diamondbacks last season, and then traded from Arizona to Philadelphia this past off season. And now in the final year of his contract. One ball, 2 strikes on Carter. Braun at first. And another check on him. One area that Hellickson has tried to improve upon his last couple of years is quickening up the tempo a little bit. He can really slow the game down, especially when there are base runners on. There goes Braun. Carter right off the end of the bat. And it's going to be Ruiz who wants it. He'll make the play to end the inning. However, the Brewers strike quickly. Jonathan VR, the new leadoff hitter for the Brewers. It's his second career leadoff homer. And Milwaukee is on top 1-0 right out of the gates in Philadelphia. but Jonathan Villar just keeps putting himself into the spotlight each and every day. What a season he is having. A home run in the first, and the Brewers have a 1-0 lead. Villar's hit 3 homers in 3 days here in Philadelphia. Potawatomi batting order for Pete Mackanin. He's got Herrera, Galvis, Franco at the top. Tommy Joseph, the man who has replaced Ryan Howard, hitting cleanup. Cody Ashley and Tyler Goodell to follow. And then it's Hernandez, Ruiz, and Hellickson rounding out the starting 9. That will face the 31-year-old rookie, living a dream each and every day here in the big leagues, Junior Guerra.
Yeah, he's worked hard to get to this point, making start number 7. He's 3-1. The Brewers are 5-1 in his starts. Pitched pretty well against the Cardinals, but did suffer his one and only loss so far this year.
Facing Herrera to start it. Well, like Hellickson, Junior Guerra features a change. It is called a split change. He splits the grip to get that off-speed pitch. So this is going to be an interesting pitch throughout the day to break down with these 2 starting pitchers. How they use the change of pace to keep the hitters off balance.
And 2 very different changeups, as you talk about, the split change and the changeup that Hellickson uses that fades away from a right-handed or a left-handed batter.
There's one there. Ground ball to VR. And out number 1.
Now let's check out the Menards Brewers defense for this afternoon. You got Ron Neuenhuis and Santana in the outfield. Aaron Hill at third. VR at short. You got Jeanette and Carter on the right side, and once again Jonathan Lucroy behind home plate. Luke has caught a ton this year.
Domingo Santana back in the starting lineup again today. Back-to-back starts for him after 2 weeks on the disabled list. He returned yesterday. Did have a hit yesterday. Had a double. And had a beautiful throw from right in the first inning. He cut down Herrera trying to score. So it appears that right shoulder is all healed up for Santana. Freddie Galvis for the Phillies. Back in the starting lineup. Had the day off yesterday. Pete Mackanin went with Hernandez and Blanco in the middle infield. There's a little flare. Villar's back with the glasses on. He's got it for out number 2.
Nice to have the glasses on today. Everybody talking about big rains coming today. So far we haven't seen any. I hope I didn't jinx it.
Well, judging by our old man joints and our bunions, I think we're clear for rain today. But tomorrow now there's starting to be a little bunion activity.
Yeah, well, we got some high cumulus clouds up above the ballpark.
Is that what we have? Those are nice.
Yeah, fluffy. A little dark.
2 outs for Michael Franco.
Nothing to worry about.
No, we're good. I think we're all set now. Tomorrow, who knows? Those are cumulus clouds, huh? Good job. High pop-up out into the outfield, and the glass is on for Santana. He's got it. Junior Guerra, good start after the Brewers got him 1 in the first. A 7-pitch, 3 up, 3 down, bottom of the first.
Return to Miller Park on Tuesday as the Crew starts a 6-game homestand featuring an interleague contest with the A's, followed by a weekend series with the reigning NL champion New York Mets. Reserve your spot today at Brewers.com.
Good start today for the Brew Crew. Got a run in the first on a home run by VR. Junior Guerra with a 3-up, 3-down bottom of the first, and here we go to the second now. A little bit unusual start time today. Hope you've made your way to us. If not, and you're watching, call your friends who haven't quite figured it out yet.
Some rain on the way in Milwaukee, I think.
A lot of rain. We got a lot of graduation parties.
Yeah.
Big graduation day across most of the Wisconsin schools. We congratulate all of the graduates. Congratulate all those parents of graduates as well. Tremendous accomplishment.
And the teachers.
And absolutely. We love our teachers. Summer's almost here, teachers. You can do it.
Hang in there.
Scooter Jeanette rolls one over to second base. Cesar Hernandez will make the play for out number 1. And here comes Domingo Santana. Well, last night, Santana, we were wondering how stable that shoulder would be, and it didn't take long to find out.
Look at this throw. One hop bullet getting Herrera easily at home plate, and then a breaking pitch. And rips that one hop off the wall. So looking good. First game back after spending the minimum amount of time on the 15-day disabled list.
By the way, how great were those uniforms last night? 70s night here at the ballpark. They wore uniforms from the 1976 season, and the Brewers in the powder blues stole the show last night. Unfortunately, they did not win the game last night. Phillies won 6-3. The Brewers were down 6-0 yesterday. Able to make a game of it. Maybe most importantly for today's game, they were able to get into the Philly late leverage bullpen. They got into their winning relievers, which you always want to do. So if you're into that scenario today, it would be the 3rd straight day that those pitchers have pitched.
Yep. Neris, Gomez, the setup man and closer, had to come in for the final 6 outs. Another good job by the Brewers bullpen. What's new, right?
Yeah, we talked about it a little bit on our Brewers Live pregame show, but the Brewers bullpen it's tremendous, and you're not even so focused on this year, and what they're doing this year is noteworthy. But the fact that a lot of those pieces down there are the future of the Brewers bullpen, and an area where David Stearns and Craig Counsell, assistant GM Matt Arnold, it's an area they want to build from the ground up. That's where you start. You have a good bullpen, put the pieces around it with the rest of your organization, and you can get good quick.
Yeah, the way the game is these days, a good bullpen probably just as, if not more important than your starting rotation.
Saw a shot there at Jacob Barnes. Could not have a better debut than he had last night. 26-year-old power right-hander, 3-up, 3-down with 2 strikeouts in his first day in the big leagues.
Nasty slider he showed last night.
Full count to Santana, and he draws the walk. He got down 0-2. Hellickson started to nibble, and Santana didn't bite. And the first walk of the game given up by Hellickson. Well, if you didn't get a chance to see Jacob Barnes, there is plenty of reason for optimism after what we saw last night.
Yeah, came in, threw a lot of strikes. That slider was impressive. I mean, a lot of talk about that slider, you know, today around the batting cage, and we mentioned it last night. One of the better sliders that we've seen, going straight down, the short, quick breaking pitch, and a couple of strikeouts in an inning of work, a 3-up, 3-down inning. Keep it up.
Enjoyed the conversation during Brewers Live pregame with Telly. Telly sat down with Jacob Barnes and said he was ready for that moment. Been preparing for that moment for a long time. Quick trip to the mound for Ruiz. Yeah, good for him. Florida Gulf Coast University. Drafted in the 2011 draft and has finally made it to the big leagues.
Got some good arms down in that bullpen. They really do. Guys that can throw in the mid-90s. Breaking stuff to go with it.
Here's Kirk Neuenhuis with Santana at first. That one missed. You could tell the Philly catcher Ruiz thought that was a strike the way he held it there for a moment.
So did Hellickson, kind of looking in there. CB Buckner behind home plate. Got some style points with the shades, does Ruiz.
Chooch, another guy that a symbol of a great era of baseball here in Philadelphia, and a career that is on the back end. No Ryan Howard in the lineup today. Jimmy Rollins is long gone, traded away to the Dodgers. Now he's with the Chicago White Sox. Chase Utley is a member of the Dodgers, traded away. Well, they had some great teams here. And now they're trying to rebuild and get back to that spot.
Up in the National League East, glad that starting rotation is gone too.
Shane Victorino, Jason Worth, Cole Hamels was traded last year after he threw a no-hitter for the Phillies against the Cubs at Wrigley. And Neuenhuis draws the walk. Back-to-back walks given up by Hellickson. That is rare indeed. He is a command pitcher.
Only 14 walks coming into today's game and just shy of 64 innings. More strikeouts than innings pitched. And very rare the patient Brewers, even at the bottom of the order, able to get on base.
Throughout his career, he has only averaged a little less than 3 walks per 9 innings. He's walked 2 back-to-back in this inning. And it gives the Brewer pitcher, Junior Guerra, a chance to bunt the runners over with 1 away. Guerra's a former catcher in the Braves organization. His lack of hitting is why he's a pitcher now, though. And he bunts it foul, and it's no balls and 2 strikes. Guerra converted to the mound in 06. Strong-armed, plus defender, no-hit catcher.
So it's a relatively fresh arm out there for the Brewers, right? I mean, he's 31 years old, but the pitching arm a lot younger than that.
You know, he's been pitching for 10 seasons, but most of those seasons was out of the bullpen, so he doesn't have a whole lot of innings in that right arm. Chops a bunt foul, and that'll be a strikeout for Hellickson. So unable to get the bunt down. That'll be the first strikeout for Hellickson and the second out of the inning. Runner still at first and second. Well, here comes Jonathan Villar. How good has he been, Rock, in this series against the team that signed him as a 17-year-old? He is making them pay. Powerball home run number 5 on the year, but 3 of them in the first 3 games of this series.
Yeah, and incredible stuff. I mean, leadoff home run, give the Brewers a 1-0 lead. That home run, first game of this series on Thursday, gave the Brewers a 3-run lead, and had not hit a home run from the left side before coming to Philly.
Got a chance to play run producer again with 2 on. And strike 1 from Hellickson on a fastball. You look at Villar's numbers across the board. He's first in the National League in stolen bases with 19. He's in the top 10 in the league in walks, has 33. 7th in the league in doubles with 15, and he's top 10 in on-base percentage. He's got an on-base percentage over 400. All of this coming as a leadoff hitter throughout the month of May. Moved him into that spot when Domingo Santana was injured and ultimately on the disabled list. 1-2 pitch. Slow roller. Dribbling along to first. Joseph flips it. A slide safe at first as VR hustles his way to a base hit.
Yeah, that's a nice play right there, and a good thing he was lucky he didn't get stepped on. That hand trying to go in there at first base with a head first slide. Hellickson a little bit late getting over there. You knew when that ball was hit it was going to be a tough play for the Phillies. VR runs very quickly. Hellickson got there quickly, but a little bit late. And not advisable to go head first into first base, but a good call over there by Fielding Colbreth. Right on it.
Now the hand just beat the foot.
That's a heck of a call over there.
That is
right on it.
Good eyes. So the Brewers keep the inning alive here. Bases loaded for Aaron Hill. And Hill into center field. Jammed. Coming in is Herrera, and he's got it. And the Brewers leave him loaded. That's been a problem for the Crew this season. Still 1-0. Remember the great Muhammad Ali passed away yesterday at the age of 74. The incredible life of Muhammad Ali. His life on earth ended yesterday. Lasting legacy. It's been a lot of comments from around the sports world. Not just a great sports figure, though, a great humanitarian, and did a lot for social change. And Rock and I both fortunate to have seen him perform. I only caught the end of his career. You were right in the wheelhouse of his dominance. I mean, from 1960 to, you know, right around 1980 to the mid 80s, he was the force in sports as a personality.
Well, he saved boxing. I mean, without Muhammad Ali, who knows where boxing would be these days, but certainly a flamboyant personality, a lot of fun. You know, the interchanges, the mix-ups with Howard Cosell over the years, and that was fun to watch.
Well, any man who Nelson Mandela calls as his hero, Nelson Mandela called Muhammad Ali his hero, had a picture of Muhammad Ali on his desk. That is a person worth remembering, worth studying, worth thinking about. And today we do all of that on our broadcast and throughout the sports world, and everybody wanting to have a conversation about Muhammad Ali in that clubhouse today. There was a lot of discussion about him and his life, and Brewers have had some encounters with Muhammad Ali in the past. There's a high fly ball. Tommy Joseph sends it way back, and Nieuwenhuis is out of room. And a long home run for Joseph. So just like that, the Phillies have tied it up. Fourth home run for Joseph. Pete Buchanan put him in the lineup and bench Ryan Howard, and Joseph is not disappointing.
Yeah, I don't think Joseph's going to be finding himself on the bench too much either. Yeah, he has been swinging the bat very well in this series and able to knock one out of here. It was a fastball right down the middle. And Joseph able to get good wood on it, knocking out of here to dead center field, and yeah, we're all tied up.
So Joseph keeps hitting, and now Cody Ashe.
Yeah, but Muhammad Ali, what was that? Was a couple of years ago that he made his way around the spring training complexes down in Arizona.
Yeah, 2011 he came into Brewers camp. Telly, our reporter Telly Hughes, is down there. I know you've had a chance to catch up with a lot of players and coaches, and even Craig Counsell was remembering that encounter with Muhammad Ali from 2011.
That's right, B.A. Counsell said whenever Muhammad Ali was in the room, he would take over that room without even trying. His presence was unmatched. But Brewers bench coach Pat Murphy, and I'll wait until after this play.
A fly ball to Nieuwenhuis, easy enough for him. Go ahead, Telly.
Well, Pat Murphy has a really close relationship with him. He first interacted with Muhammad Ali while coaching at Notre Dame. Muhammad Ali owned a ranch in Michigan just north of South Bend, and let's fast forward 20 years after those encounters. Muhammad Ali's wife, Lonnie, called Pat and asked him if he could help assist some inner city kids with a place to play baseball, and Pat, of course, obliged. And this is when Pat was in Arizona as the Arizona State head coach, and when Lonnie came down to Arizona, they had lunch, and he saw all the stuff in Pat Murphy's house about Muhammad Ali, including a tattoo that Pat Murphy has on his back that says Ali. And Ali's wife, Lonnie, asked Pat if he wanted to meet the champ and go over and have lunch with him, and he said, of course. And he said it was just, he was in awe just being in his presence. And this was a time where his communication skills had dwindled a bit, but he said he would go over and they would have lunch and they would read and look through pages and books and point at pictures, and he would get a reaction. And he said he remembered looking at one picture of Muhammad Ali fighting George Foreman, and he said, you could have knocked him out a lot sooner than you did, right, champ? And he said he just gave him a look and just like, yeah. So, I mean, Pat Murphy said he had tons of great stories that he can recall with his encounters with Muhammad Ali. But as we all know, guys, the greatest touched everyone's life that he came across.
No question. There's a deep fly ball. That's going to be off the wall. Tyler Goodell, the speedy outfielder, is on his way to third. And that's a stand-up triple, and Phillies are hitting the ball hard here against Junior Guerra in the second inning. Well, it didn't take him long to get from home plate to third base.
Well, they're picking on fastballs. Yeah, Junior having a difficult time commanding that split change and not getting the swings. And Goodell hits that one hard off the wall. A good extension on it. It looked as though Nieuwenhuis got a little bit too close to the fence out there and bounded away, but you know, Goodell easily into third base. Right about there, he knew he wasn't going to be able to make the catch. Got a little too close, and that's why Goodell was able to get into third.
Nieuwenhuis has been busy this inning. A run is in, a runner at third now. Brewers are going to bring their infielders in with Cesar Hernandez at the plate. All tied at 1. VR is homered for the Brewers. Tommy Joseph just homered to start this inning for the Phillies. Hernandez was 0 for 4 yesterday and had a couple of ground balls to the left side of the infield. Hill and VR playing in. He shows bunt. Brewers looking out for a squeeze.
A squeeze, or maybe even a safety squeeze. And the corner's crashing pretty hard, and Aaron Hill kind of taking over that infield right there, having a chat with Jonathan VR about a defensive alignment they want to maybe use.
2-0 the count. And it's ball 3 now. Well, at the bottom of the Phillies order, Guerra breezed through the first inning, 7-pitch, 3 up, 3 down frame, but has been hit hard here in the second.
And it's the off-speed stuff that has eluded him so far. Talking about Junior, can't get over the plate.
And the 3-0 is in there for a strike.
And when you can't get that over the plate, fastball becomes very hittable, even in the mid-90s. It's one thing he hasn't really had much of a problem with, throwing that split change over the plate, getting swings or getting a called strike.
Be a good spot for a strikeout here. But he's behind in the count. The 3-1 in the air, center field, deep, way back. Neuenhuis, and it's gone. A homer. 2-run home run for Hernandez. Well, and just like that, the light hitting Phillies are playing long ball in the second inning.
And that was a split change up in the zone, trying to throw it for a strike. Check it out. I mean, he got good wood on that one. Another home run into center field here at the ballpark. Day game is going to travel pretty well. Just out of the reach of Neuenhuis for a 2-run homer.
Well, the Phillies coming into play today, the second fewest home runs in the National League. And we've seen 2 in this inning. 3-1. Here's Ruiz now. He takes a strike.
And we saw Jimmy Nelson struggle with his off-speed stuff in yesterday's game, and the Phillies able to take advantage of it. And Junior Guerra, same thing here today.
Spots the fastball at 95. Quickly 0-2 on Ruiz. Every batted ball in this inning has been to center field. They've all been hit hard. Ashes went for an out, but he sent Neuenhuis back near the track. 2 homers and a triple. Now Ruiz has worked it into a full count. Let the pitcher spot due up next. Derek Johnson and Craig Counsell, pitching coach and manager, taking a good hard look at Guerra. Little flare in the right's going to fall, a base hit. The 4th hit of the inning. Brewers have been unable to avoid the big inning in the last couple of days. Yesterday the Phillies had 2 3-run innings. This is a team that is really struggling to score runs. Prior to the win yesterday, they had lost 7 consecutive games. Got swept by the Cubs and then got swept at home by the Nationals. And then the Brewers won the opener of this series. But they have found their offense here in the last 2 days.
Yeah, 6 runs for the Phillies yesterday. That was an eruption offensively. They have not done that in quite some time. And yeah, they're back at it here today. But you know, Junior's having a difficult time with his location.
And the pitcher Jeremy Hellickson now with a runner at first. Shows bunt, gets a bunt down. It's a good one. And Carter will make the play. That'll be a sacrifice for Hellickson. 2 outs in the inning. Well, Rocky, really, you go back to the Brewer half of the second inning. Had the bases loaded, had 2 on and 1 out, and then had bases loaded with 2 outs and couldn't cash them in. And the Brewers just, I think, put a lot more pressure on their pitching staff with their lack of timely hitting at this point. That's been a big problem this season for Milwaukee.
Bases loaded, 2 outs. I mean, you understand why you might not score runs all the time, but they've had bases loaded on a number of occasions this year with less than 2, even a couple of times with nobody out, not able to score. You're right. That does make the margins very thin for these pitchers.
Back to the top of the order now, Odubel Herrera.
But once again, Junior Guerra just continues to get behind in the count with that That split change and curveball. Just can't throw it for strikes.
And a pickoff play. Guerra throws it into center field. And Ruiz will end up at third. They might have had him had it been a good throw. That was going to be close.
Yeah, threw it too soon. He didn't square himself up and threw it a little bit too soon as he's spinning around, and that not even close to VR at second. I mean, not even in the neighborhood, and Ruiz able to get into third base.
Well, now you got to pay attention to the possible wild pitch. Odubel Herrera comes in batting .311. He's having a terrific year in the leadoff spot. They just moved him in there at the end of April.
That's a lot of movement in that swing for Herrera.
It's one of the more unusual setups that you'll ever see.
Big high leg kick. He's moving toward home plate. I mean, very rarely do you see both of those things going on at the same time. A lot of guys will have that leg kick, but they're not moving toward home plate while they're doing it. There's so many moving pieces in the lower body that his timing's got to be just right.
And keep an eye on his front foot. Leans in on that front foot. Slow roller. Guerra makes a good play, and he'll take it himself to end the inning. Now the Phillies get 3. As we go to commercial, once again we appreciate and respect the life and times of Muhammad Ali, passing away yesterday at age 74. Two home runs for the Phillies in the second inning. Hernandez hit a 2-run shot to center. And Philadelphia now on top 3-1. The Brewers took an early lead on a Jonathan VR home run. Ball's flying today. Good day to be a hitter on a warm, humid afternoon in Philadelphia.
And the wind blowing out right out to center field.
Third inning. Here's Ryan Braun against Jeremy Hellickson. Singled his last time up. He shot one to right field, a base hit. Well, you never know how batting practice translates to the game, especially with a star like Braun, but his batting practice today, there's a couple of things in there that made you think he's feeling good, because he was swinging hard. He was really going after it.
CB Buckner giving it to the Phillies bench, thinking that Hellickson's getting squeezed a little bit.
Buckner popped that mask off, said, "I'm not going to have any more of it today. It's hot."
It's only the third inning. Pipe down.
That last part we made up. Slow roll to short. Gonna be a tough play coming in. Galvis throws on the run, and Braun is out.
That's a nice play. It's short. And Galvis did not start in yesterday's ball game. But he's a slick fielding shortstop. He's only committed 2 errors this year. Or I should say 3 errors. And they're making that play nicely. Brawny sniffing a base hit. He kicked it into overdrive, and they got him by half a step.
It was a good throw, too. Over the top. That's tough to do. And his first baseman appreciates that. Not a lot of sink on that ball. Got some finishing kick to it. So Braun is out, and here is Lucroy now.
You know, that discussion about Muhammad Ali. I mean, I remember those days. You were either a George Frazier guy or a Joe Frazier or a Muhammad Ali guy. Were you old enough for that?
I was just always a Muhammad Ali guy.
Now around here in Philly, what do you think they were?
Yeah, Frazier.
Yeah, Joe Frazier was from around here. The Thrilla in Manila.
Just legendary.
Yeah, huh?
Moments in time. Some of the greatest sports photography of all time in some of those Ali fights. He was so great as an entertainer.
Those interviews with Howard Cosell were classics.
Yeah.
Classics.
Today we wish we had Bob Uecker around us in Philadelphia. He's back home in Milwaukee as Lucroy into right center. That's down for a base hit. And Lucroy extends his hitting streak to 8 straight. Clean single to right center. Now we talked about the champ coming to Brewers spring training in 11. Those are some of the great images of his boxing career. So much more than that, though. I mean, that's what made him famous, but what he did. There he is with the Beatles.
Yeah. A showman.
Could always talk a great game.
It was far more than just a boxing match with Muhammad Ali.
Yeah, that was some of those great images there with Dr. Martin Luther King. Carter swing and a miss. And then back in 11, Ron Renicky in his first year there with the Brewers. How about Robin Yount and Muhammad Ali? There's a picture for the wall.
Yeah, right.
Man. Ryan Braun.
How many pictures do you think Muhammad Ali took just like that?
And he enjoyed it.
Somebody ready to hit one, get him right in the jaw somewhere, and yep.
There'll never be another like him. One ball, 2 strikes on Carter. And down he goes. Carter strikes out for the second out of the inning and the second strikeout for Hellickson.
Yeah, chasing that high fastball. Hellickson doesn't throw very hard. He's throwing a lot of 2-seamers today. And they say you can get it, you know, low 90s, 93.4 with the 2-seamer, but most of them, you know, that one up in the strike zone. Boy, Hellickson slows down a lot when there's men on base.
Been as fast as 92. Slowest pitch he's thrown 71. That breaking ball. There's a swing and a miss on the curveball, and Jeanette is behind. Scooter dropped down in the lineup today. He's been hitting second. Had 2 hits in the opener on Thursday. And another wave and a miss.
Hey, Craig Count just trying to shake it up just a little bit to get something going. Aaron Hill in a 2 spot. And Jeanette down behind Carter.
Lucroy still at first, and there he goes, and the pitch is low. Ruiz makes no throw, and that's going to be a stolen base for Jonathan Lucroy.
Picked a good pitch, a curveball in the dirt. And sometimes when you guess right, you get a pitch like that on a 0-2 count. Check out the pitch down in the dirt, and Ruiz really doesn't even bother. Didn't have a good handle on it, and Lucroy with a bag. Big lead. Not paying much attention to him, and got a good pitch to run on.
Only a second steal. He's in scoring position for Jeanette. Here's the 1-2. 2-2 now on Scooter. Those are important stolen bases. You don't expect Lucroy to do it. He was smart. He picked the right pitch. Hellickson certainly not paying much attention to Lucroy at first. And now a base hit. The Brewers could climb within a run. Can steal a 2-out run in this 3rd inning. And Jeanette rolls over one to first, and that will retire the side. The Brewers leave one more. They've left 5 already in the first 3 innings. 3-1 Phillies. As we head to the Philly half of the 3rd inning on a Saturday afternoon in Philadelphia. Say if you're a baseball fan, you need the all-new Fox Sports app. Get highlights, interviews, injury updates, scores, and instant alerts on your favorite teams and rivals. Download now the iOS App Store, or it's on Google Play, or you can visit foxsports.com/app. Junior Guerra back on the mound, and he's hoping for a comeback here in the 3rd, giving up 3 runs on 4 hits in the 2nd inning. Freddie Galvis leads off for the Phillies. Phillies with 2 homers last inning. Tommy Joseph led the inning off with a solo shot, and then Cesar Hernandez with a 2-run home run. Pretty hard hit balls off Guerra in the 2nd. There's a fastball strike.
You see that split change right there, not even close. I mean, when Guerra's going well, he's got that pitch close enough to home plate to maybe get a swing. That was about a foot outside.
way inside. 2-2 now on Galvis. Guerra coming off his first loss against the Cardinals last week. 6 1/3 innings. He gave up 3 earned runs. Prior to that, the Brewers had been 5-0 in his starts. There's a shot caught by Carter at first. Chris Carter snares one. That might have been headed right for Field and Colbert, the umpire.
He would have been able to bounce out of the way. Curveball that time, and Galvis hits it hard, but look at Carter able to grab it, that big wingspan. That might have gotten a piece of the first base umpire. Check it out. No, he was out of the way.
He was okay.
Chris Carter looking back, saying, I got you.
The crew chief, Field and Colbert, over at first base. So 1 away. Another hard hit ball, though. Guerra's going to have to find some answers shortly here. The Phillies are really swinging the bats well. All 4 hits last inning were hit hard. And even one of the outs was a deep fly ball to center. Franco flew to right in first. He's been tough on the Brewers this year. Maikel Franco.
Yes, sir.
And a strike in there. Good
He can
fastball.
buggy whip. He can buggy whip something on the inside part of the plate, even off the plate. They hit a home run on Thursday night on a pitch not even a strike.
He has hits in every game this season against the Brewers. Phillies came to Miller Park early in the season in April. They took 2 out of 3. This is the 7th game against Milwaukee this year. Franco has 10 hits this season already, and 4 of those 10 hits are homers. Big swing right by him.
That's a nice pitch. A good job by Lucroy setting up inside. He crept in there late, and Guerra put it right where he wanted it. And tying him up inside for a guy that likes the ball inside. Very dangerous to come in there, but he put in a good spot.
Yeah, he's
couldn't
used
get
the
to it.
fastball.
Yep.
93 on that fastball up the ladder. And Guerra picks up his first strikeout. Put it right by Franco.
Look at that hack. He doesn't shorten up with 2 strikes.
Up and in to Tommy Joseph. Joseph homered off Guerra in the 2nd inning. Straightens him up a bit. Nothing wrong with that. And a count now to 1-2.
Yeah, let's see if he can put that split change down where he wants it. Hasn't been able to really locate it so far today. This would be a good spot for it.
Joseph's been a tough out too. He's 5 for 9 in the series now. A couple of homers. Yeah, he pops that one a mile high. Not a lot of room behind the plate. And Lucroy will watch that one into the seats.
I think Lucroy is starting to call the game for Guerra based on his inability to throw that splitter where he wants it.
I've seen a lot of fastballs.
So a few more fastballs, and fastball trying to tie up these hitters inside. Got to adjust. I mean, you just can't keep calling the same game. You got to call the game based on what the guy has that particular day.
Well, it's a high fastball this time, and he got him. Perfect spot. Joseph strikes out. So Guerra comes back after giving up 3 runs on 4 hits in the 2nd. He retires the side in order, and back-to-back strikeouts with the high fastball.
is coming to Miller Park on Saturday, June 18th, as Kenny Chesney brings his Spread the Love tour to Milwaukee with special guests Miranda Lambert, Little Big Town, and Old Dominion. For tickets, call 414-902-4000 or go to brewers.com/Chesney. That's a must-see at Miller Park.
Yeah, it's going to be a good show. Maybe we can get a couple of days off and fly back and check that out.
We're on the West Coast, right?
Mm-hmm. Domingo Santana will lead off for the Brewers. Jonathan Villar hit a leadoff homer. The Brewers have had some base runners since that time. They've had 3 hits and a walk after that home run, but have not been able to cash any more runs in. They left him loaded in the second as Santana takes a strike. 0-2 the count on Domingo. He's glad to be back in the big leagues. Santana spent 3 days on a minor league rehab in AA Biloxi. Swung the bat well down there. Matter of fact, his first at bat, he homered. Out with a sore right shoulder, an impingement. Nothing internal or anything that would lead you to believe it would turn into anything serious.
Yeah, precautionary, I think. And, Santana.
He lines one into left hand, a base hit for Domingo.
Yeah, minimum time spent on the disabled list, only 15 days, and he looks like a different hitter already. I mean, much more aggressive at the plate. He was taking a lot of pitches before he went on the DL. Maybe that shoulder giving him more problems than he was letting on, but, able to turn on that fastball in. That's a nice short stroke for Domingo, and looking healthy right now.
Well, he's got a player with a lot of potential. Big upside, as the scouts say. We'll find out. The Brewers have high hopes for him. That is the 4th hit for the Brewers today with 2 strikes. 4 of their 5 hits have come with 2 strikes.
Hey, Hellickson making some mistakes with the fastball.
Kirk Neuenhuis batting 8th today. I think every major league hitter shows up at the clubhouse, looks at the lineup card. First and foremost, you're happy you're in it, and then they're let out a little sigh when you're batting 8th. Like, oh boy, that's a tough spot.
That's better than not being in the lineup.
It is better, no doubt. It's better than not being in, but the 8th spot in the National League lineup has a lot of challenges, and that's a slow roller off the foot of Neuenhuis, a foul ball.
You know what else happened, I bet, today? Guys coming into the clubhouse, and normally you know where you're usually hitting. If you're a bottom of the order kind of guy, you're looking at the bottom part of the order first, and if you don't see your name in that spot, you figure you're not playing. I bet Jeanette did that. Hill was surprised. Hill's probably looking down around that 7th, 8th spot in the lineup, saying, I guess I'm not playing. Then he looks up, I'm hitting second.
Right.
So I think there was a lot of surprises in that clubhouse today when guys showed up. I always looked in the 9th spot.
Is that right? And when you're not in the 9th spot,
I knew that was it. I wasn't going. My eyes don't cascade up. They didn't do that.
Speak from experience.
They went from the 9th spot. If it wasn't there, I'd look at the extras.
Larry Boa barking in that Philly dugout. I don't think the Phillies thought that foul ball by Neuenhuis hit his foot. 1 ball, 1 strike. Santana at first base. And Neuenhuis takes low and away. Now Neuenhuis is certainly grateful that his name is in the lineup today. But as an 8th place hitter in the National League lineup, you have to do things a little differently. You have to sometimes expand the strike zone.
This is not one of those times, though.
Sometimes you have to be patient. It all depends on the scenario, right? You have to be a thinker when you're batting 8th. You got to look at the scenario in front of you, and
sometimes when there's 2 outs, I mean, you don't, you got to, make sure that you're aggressive when you need to be, when there's men in scoring position with a pitcher coming up. But later in the game, you don't have to be, because there's going to be a pinch hitter. So more attentive to the game situation and where you are in the game when you're batting 9th or 8th.
Well, there are exceptions, but you rarely see National League managers put young hitters in the 8th spot in the batting order. Counsell certainly does not.
Well, you got to have a patient hitter at the plate, that's for sure, because when you have 2 outs and a pitcher coming up, you know, normally the pitcher's not going to give you much to hit. Patient hitter, maybe a guy with a little bit of thump in the bat. Man, remember the days when J.J. Hardy just couldn't stand batting 8th. And he made no bones about it.
Every day.
When he went up in the batting order, he was a much better hitter.
Yeah, when he went to the 2nd spot.
Right.
Feels like the 2 spot and the 8 spot, those are the interchangeable pieces. I don't know if this is the case or not, but it's almost as if managers are going to put a hitter in the 8th spot in the lineup, and then after a while they say, you know what, you've earned your way, you've paid your dues, now you get to hit 2nd in front of Ryan Braun. Or whoever the best hitter in the major league lineup is batting 3rd, which can be a great spot. You see a lot of fastballs in that number 2 position.
And then the other reason you get a lot of fastballs when you're in the Brewers number 2 spot, VR's at first, probably going to run, and catchers are going to call more fastballs. So double whammy, that's a good spot in any lineup.
Managers will often use the 2nd spot in the batting order to try to get a hitter hot. They feel like put somebody there to contribute. Those are all the little things position players think about. That's why the game is so mental, and you can run yourself dry thinking about all the scenarios. Why is he batting me 2nd? Is he saying I can't hit right now? Does he think I need help?
But you know, hitters shouldn't really adjust what they're doing based on where they are in the batting order. That's the manager's job.
Ooh, just missed. Hellickson trying to hit that outside corner. Tay Ruiz makes it look good too. He's always been a terrific catcher. It's like throwing to a fire hydrant back there.
Yeah. And he sticks to landing just about every time with that glove. Frames pitches nicely, gives you a good target. You know, umpire can see really good around him. He's not a really big guy. He's not tall, so he can get down low.
Now he's only 5'7" with his spikes on. He's had a terrific career. Neuenhuis has seen 8. Pitch number 9 of the at-bat coming. Pitcher due up next. Nobody out. Santana's at first. And that is ball 4. Now there is a big league at bat by Kirk Neuenhuis. That's what you're looking for from the 8 spot. 2 on now, and that allows the pitcher Guerra to drop a bunt down to advance him.
Yeah, 7 and 8 hitters have been on all 4 times. 3 walks and a hit. Junior not able to get the bunt down his first time up.
Junior was trying to bunt with 1 out last time up. Brewers did end up loading the bases that inning, but failed to score. This is a scoring chance for Milwaukee. They're down 2, 2 on, nobody out. Chance to clear the pitcher and then get to the top of the order. Showed bunt, then pulled the bat back. Corners creeping in. Joseph really coming in. And Guerra bunts it, and it's through. To make the play is Hellickson, and he gets the out at first. Wow, that was
nice play.
Scary in the air, but ends up working well. Heck of a play by the former Gold Glove winner, Jeremy Hellickson.
Yeah, that ball got by him, and he had to retreat back and grab it and made a good throw to first. So this time, Junior Guerra able to drop down the bunt. Got good wood on it. Right about there, you figure that might be a base hit, but Guerra doesn't run all that well. They get the out.
Nice and easy little flip by Hellickson.
So bad of a bunt, it was good.
How about that throw right there? That could have easily ended up rolling free. Hellickson's a very good fielder, though. And he makes a good play to get an out, but the Brewers have runners at 2nd and 3rd, and here is VR. Starts him with a curveball, misses high. Jonathan with that dirty uniform, always the case. At the plate, presented by Wendy's.
It looks like that before the game starts.
Homered in the first, had an infield hit in the second. And that's a ground ball, foul, just missed the bag. Now, uniform's dirty. VR had a headfirst dive on a little slow roller over to first base. It was a bang bang play with the pitcher covering, and VR able to get a hand in there before Hellickson's foot touched the bag.
Yeah, get the dirt, then the sweat starts pouring in there, and that becomes mud. That jersey starts to get a little bit heavy.
Two and one to VR. Second and third with one out here in the fourth. Had a good swing at it, fouls it back. You saw Ruiz there going through signs. He looked like a third base coach, and then he puts down the multiple signs. What's that all about?
I don't know. I mean, there's no defense. Normally when you're touching parts of your body, or maybe it's telling Hellickson, he goes through a series of touches on the shoulders. He's telling him what pitch. You know, second sign, third sign, something like that, perhaps.
With a runner at second and Neuenhuis.
Series of signs. You don't want to just drop one down. It's all complicated these days, Brian.
Yeah, he's doing it on every pitch. Didn't like that one. Has to go through him again.
He put a 4 down for the first time. Didn't have it the first time. Let's see if it's a changeup. Yep.
And VR dumps one into right field. A base hit. Santana will score. Jonathan VR with his third hit of the game, and he makes it a 3-2 Philly lead. His second RBI. 3 for 3 today for the Brewers shortstop. And the Brewers are within a run. They've got him at the corners with just one out.
And he stayed back nicely on the changeup. So, you know, it was second sign. He gave him a 1, a wiggle of the 4 fingers, and then other signs. So it was a changeup, and VR able to wait back and knock it into right field. That's a good at bat. Boy, that kid can hit. He is on a roll right now.
That's going to bring a visit from the pitching coach, Bob McClure, the former Brewer. Now in right field, Tyler Goodell. I'm not sure if Ed Cedar was going to send Neuenhuis, but he made a good move. Interesting move there as he faked like he was going to catch the ball. That stunned Santana and Neuenhuis. And Ed Cedar ends up holding Neuenhuis with one out. It would have been a chance, perhaps. Neuenhuis could have scored, but that hesitation made it no chance. It's all those little things you can do, even when you can't make a catch.
No, you don't want to make the second out at home plate now with the top of the order coming up. And just hold them. You got the tying run at third. And watch Goodell. He's going to put the glove up as if he's going to be able to make the catch right there. Kind of a quick one, but it froze Neuenhuis just enough. He wasn't able to score.
Well, it stopped Neuenhuis and Santana right in their tracks. First and third, one away. Aaron Hill at the plate with Ryan Braun due next. And a pitch out. Expecting VR to run. Hellickson has a very good move to first.
But again, if you pick the right pitch, you might be able to steal it easily. Lucroy did that.
Hellickson does take a little time to unload it. Good spot for the Crew. They've got a run in. They're down a run. And there's that throw to first. Close. Man, VR somehow gets back in. We saw the same thing yesterday. Just got a hand back, giving the first baseman a little surface area to tag. Look at this slide by VR. He's fortunate. Wow. That is close.
And what we didn't see there was VR's first move was towards second base. That's what made that play so close.
The speed of VR certainly has its ripple effect throughout the rest of the game, especially the pitcher batter matchup. Major league leader in stolen bases. 82 pitches already for Hellickson. We're only in the fourth. Brewers threatening. This has always been the knock on Hellickson. His tempo changes dramatically with men on base. Can leave his fielders out there for what feels like an eternity. Sometimes you'll see errors when that happens. There goes VR inside, throw to second, not in time, and Jonathan VR swipes number 20. Now it's second and third with one out.
Yeah, but no chance to get him. That's a good lead, a very good jump, and you can see what Hernandez is doing. He's going to make sure that Neuenhuis isn't going to try and steal home. He creeps up once he realizes there's no chance to get VR, and he comes up to keep Neuenhuis at third base.
Now a base hit. The Brewers could take the lead if it hits the outfield grass. Hill's got the count in his favor. 2-1. Pulls it on the ground, foul. Nice play. Backhand. Big decision to make. She made the right one. A souvenir to take home. It's not hardly as important as that ice cream a little bit later. Hill against Hellickson, teammates last year in Arizona. Aaron trying to deliver here in the fourth, and down he goes. Got him on a changeup. That's the last thing you needed if you're a Brewer, is a strikeout in that situation. And now 2 men are out for Ryan Braun.
Yeah, Brewers 2 for 6 with runners in scoring position. Both of the hits coming from Jonathan VR, but only one of them scored a run. And you wonder how aggressive the Phillies are going to be with Braun. Of course, no walk in the park with the guy on deck with Lucroy.
Yeah, pick your poison here, which is why Counsell stacks it up that way. Braun with a single in the first. He's up there with runners at second and third. Brewers down a run. Ryan hit the ball sharply off Hellickson in the first inning. Clean single to right. And Braun right back to the mound. Chased one. Inning over. Hellickson does a good job to get out of it, but the Brewers do score on a couple of hits. Santana got it started with a single. Jonathan VR with his second RBI of the day. 3-2 Phillies.
Here in the bottom of the fourth inning, time now for our greater coverage of baseball, brought to you by T-Mobile. As we take a look at some news and notes around the league, Corey Seager became the first Dodger rookie since 1959 with 3 home runs. He was 3 for 4 last night. Johnny Cueto improved to 9-1 with his win over the Cardinals. And Mark Teixeira was placed on the 15-day disabled list with right knee cartilage tear. This season so far, Teixeira is only batting 180, PA.
Been a down year. You know, there's a lot of big names that are having bad years. Teixeira's one of them. And the Yankees sitting at near the bottom of the division in the American League. The Yankees are 4 games under 500 to start play today. In that AL East, you got the Orioles and the Red Sox. They've been back and forth for the top spot. And then the Blue Jays are hanging in there as well. There's a drive into right center field. Cody Ashley's going to one-hop one off the wall. And he'll roll into second base with a double. It has been the even-numbered innings that are giving Guerra fits.
Yeah,
another hard-hit ball.
Yeah, 3-run second, and now a leadoff double in the fourth. Yeah, the first and third innings were both 3-up, 3-down innings. Man, Ashley got one out over the plate and gave it a ride out there in the gap. Nice easy swing. Fresh off the disabled list. And hit that one hard out into the gap.
An oblique injury for Ashley. Missed the first 2 months of the season. Just returned on Thursday. And it's a leadoff double to get the inning started. Here's Tyler Goodell. Goodell last time up tripled. He hit one off the left center field wall. Phillies have them all covered today. They've hit for the team cycle at this point. 2 home runs. Goodell had the triple. And now Ashley with a double. They have 5 hits. There's a pop-up. Long run. Santana on his way over. He's got it for the out. And Ashley will hold his ground. Santana's got a great arm. Good play.
Yeah. And he spun around nicely to get momentum toward third. And Ashley didn't even think about it.
Right field is the tough sun field here in Philadelphia. This can be a rough time of the day to play a game as the sun lowers and right fielder staring right into it, and then when you start to get the shadows that creep across, it can be difficult as well.
Fortunate to have the sun out today.
Yeah, we are. We're not complaining about the sun for sure. They were calling for heavy rain both today and tomorrow, and that forecast was wrong. We hope tomorrow's is wrong.
All the negative people talking about rain. You can't do that.
Most of those negative people here in the booth with us in Philadelphia expecting rain tomorrow.
It can't rain on getaway day.
Here is Hernandez, who homered. 2-run home run to center field in the second. Phillies are in the middle of a long homestand. They got swept by the Nationals. 4 here with the Brew Crew. And then they've got the Cubs coming in. Cubs have taken the lead on the Diamondbacks today in the 8th inning. 4-3. Arizona is threatening in the top of the 8th. Cubs are a juggernaut right now. What a season they're having. Chicago is 38-15. They've won 9 of 10. They've won 3 in a row. Their record at home is stellar, 14 games over. They've only lost 1 game to the National League East so far this year. The Brewers took 2 out of 3 from them.
Now they're pitching second to none. I mean, they lead all of baseball in earned run average. 255 coming in.
Cubs and the White Sox both contending this year. The Cubs are in first, leading the Pirates by 9.5 games to start play today. White Sox Went through a bit of a slump, but they're still right there. Chicago in good shape. They're 3 over. They're 1.5 back of the Royals. A lot of reports out today that the White Sox have acquired James Shields from the Padres. The two clubs involved have not confirmed that trade, but usually where there's smoke, there's fire when there's that much chatter going. That's off the glove of Guerra, right to Jeanette, throw to first just in time. Close play. Hernandez almost beat it, and certainly the Phillies will take a look at this on replay.
Yeah, Hernandez pointed to the dugout right away, but he's walking off into the dugout. So if he's trying to convince his manager to go to a review. No, out.
He got him. That is a beautiful shot of that. The high-speed, slow-motion cameras that we have can give you some great looks.
Hang at the phone. Let's go.
Moving on. So 2 outs. Now a runner at third base. Here is Ruiz. There would have been a day with Ruiz at the plate and a base open at first. He would have just walked him. You wouldn't even have thought twice about it.
That might not be a bad idea right now. Got to hit his first time up.
Ruiz not the hitter that he once was. And it's not that he always hit for a great average, but he seemed like he was always clutch in spots like this, especially when you got into the postseason. Boy, he's one of the toughest outs. Could not shake him. And Guerra has him in a hole 0-2.
And that's the frustration when you get a little bit older. That pitch right there, that's a pitch that Carlos Ruiz normally would hit pretty hard somewhere, and just a little bit late on it, fouls it back.
Runner at third, 2 outs, 0-2 the count. Guerra trying to put up a 0. The Brewers just scored in the top of this inning to get within 1. All 3 of the Philly runs came in the second. Went back to the fastball, his best one today at 96 miles an hour. See what he has in mind for him here. Shakes off Lucroy. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Lucroy sets up inside, and a fastball in there misses.
Almost got him. Don't remember Guerra in his first 6 starts throwing this many fastballs.
He's got good velocity too.
He's got good velocity, but really doesn't have that splitter going for him today. He's grinding through this start.
2-2. Ruiz had a 2-strike single his last time up. That one's in the dirt. Good play by Lucroy.
Just can't get a feel for that split. First time really this year that we've seen Guerra struggle with that pitch. They don't want to give him anything down the middle here.
No.
Got the pitcher on deck.
Hellickson waits to hit. Runner at third is Cody Ashe, a leadoff double. Garrett trying to strand him there. There's been a lot of activity on the bases today with these two teams. The payoff, and it's ball 4. That's what Ruiz does. He fouls off the strikes. Patient, knows his strike zone. He's able to draw the walk. And now Guerra's going to have to start it all over again against Jeremy Hellickson.
Man, a little surprised they didn't just walk him to start with. Man, with the way runs have been difficult to come by for the Brewers in this series. That would have been a major mistake to have Ruiz get a base hit to score a run. Ended up walking anyway.
Derek Johnson maybe just giving Guerra a breather here with 2 outs. Pitch count in decent shape. He's had 2 quick innings, the first and the third. Has a couple of strikeouts in this one. Just issued his first walk. But now first and third with the pitcher Hellickson at the plate. Well, you set yourself up well if you retire Ruiz. Then you got a pitcher leading off the next inning, and good way to start an inning. Typically means an out to start the inning. But now you really have to grind, even though the pitcher's up there, because you cannot afford to give up a hit to him. Fastball strike. Guerra shakes off the fastball. And the slider swung on, missed. Good choice.
Yeah, don't want to leave that down the middle, though. That's about the only thing a pitcher is going to be able to get a good swing on. And middle speed down the middle. Give him something harder. That splitter in the dirt, maybe. Of course, he hasn't been able to locate it very well. Well, you risk hanging it.
No balls, 2 strikes now. It's one thing about Guerra that the Brewers rave about. He's a good thinker. He's a game plan pitcher. A link from his catching days, when you're always involved in going through a lineup and recognizing the hitters. He's been on the other side, so he knows. Tried the breaking ball again. He missed. Hellickson with a good take.
Yeah, but the thing about game planning, I mean, in his first 6 starts, you had a chance to game plan because he had his pitches working for him. When you don't have much going for you other than the fastball, it's very difficult to stick to a game plan that you have laid out. You're just searching for strikes and not making mistakes with your off-speed stuff. That's what's going on today with Junior.
2-2 the count with 2 on. Hellickson had a good cut. That's another big fastball by Guerra. The pitch that he relies on, the one that can get him out of jams and get him swings and misses, just hasn't been there today. The split change.
He really hasn't been able to get it close to the plate for a swing. He has hung a couple that's cost him some hits, but he hasn't been able to get that swing and miss splitter.
Hellickson giving him a good battle. Pitch count is rising for Guerra. Well, both of these starting pitchers grinding their way through these early innings. Do it again now. 2-2 on Hellickson. Got him. Inning over. Finally a strikeout. That's the third for Guerra. He strands 2, and we're going to the 5th. Jonathan Lucroy, he's got an 8-game hitting streak going now. He'll lead off when we come back. Johnson is brought to you by Hupy and Abraham. 1-800-800-5678. Hupy and Abraham. Tell them you mean business. One of the great landmarks in Philadelphia, the Rockies statue at the Art Museum. Have you been out to run those steps yet, Rock?
I have walked those steps.
With the music, with the theme on?
No, just walked up there.
The imaginary theme. Carsoup.com trivia question today. Who are the 3 players in Brewers history to pitch in at least 350 games? Well, that's a good question. Some longevity in that. Jonathan Lucroy ready to lead off for the Brewers. Since May 1st, Jonathan Lucroy, this is coming into today's play, where he ranks in the National League. That those 9 home runs, tied for 3rd. Slugging percentage is top 4 and top 6 in RBIs. And he's catching a lot. This is a catcher who has made 25 starts and played in 29 games since May 1st.
He's always been able to keep the batting average up even before that time in the month of April, but the power's starting to show. See what Chris Davis has done since the beginning of May. 11 homers. He's been red hot over there with the A's. We're going to see the A's back in the next homestand.
Yeah, we'll see Chris Davis, the former Brewer, traded to Oakland this offseason. I saw Davis earlier in the year. I was in Oakland and had a chance to go over to the baseball field. We had a good chat. He said he misses Milwaukee. He loved playing in Milwaukee. It'll always have a special place for him, but he's glad to be in Oakland, and he's really hitting the ball well, hitting a lot of home runs anyway.
Brewers gave him a shot. And he hit some home runs, led the team in home runs last year, did Chris.
And a slow start with Oakland, but he is thriving now. Has 14 homers, 36 driven in 52 games. Good for him. Looking forward to seeing the Oakland Athletics.
Yep, 2 against the A's, 4 against the Mets.
By the way, that trade for Chris Davis, the player that the Brewers got in return, 2 players actually. One of them is a catcher that a lot of scouts are very high on. You don't know the future of Jonathan Lucroy. If he's going to be traded, his name surfaces every day. But the Brewers have a young catcher named Jacob Nottingham, who we saw in the minor leagues, or rather in spring training, who's now in the minor leagues. 20-year-old in Double-A, and he's really playing well down there.
He can hit. I mean, he got good power. He's got a good swing, and he's continuing to develop behind home plate. Lucroy loved him. He had a lot of good things to say about him down in Arizona.
And credit to Nottingham for hitching his wagon to Lucroy the entire 6 weeks of spring training. He was there talking with him, asking him questions. Lucroy down the left field line, hit well. That is off the top of the wall. A fair ball. Now rolling toward left center, and Lucroy is on his way to 3rd. That'll be a triple. You could hear the chain link fence, which makes it a live ball. He missed a home run by inches.
Yeah, the Phillies are looking down that line as though they think it might have been a foul ball, but boy, Lucroy turns on this. This is his changeup. And he hits it hard down the line. Not so much, not quite sure how much it hooked. But he gets down in that corner. Let's check it out. Yeah, hard to tell right there. Looked like it was fair.
This will be a great look at it here. Bang,
yep,
yeah.
got it. You got the yellow. Yellow is in fair territory. Any part of the ball hits any part of that yellow line, it's fair. Clearly fair.
Terrific camera work there. Framing it up right where it was going to land. Easy to call, easy to see on replay. So Lucroy with a triple to start this 5th inning, and there is the tying run 90 feet away. Lucroy has 2 more hits today. And now Chris Carter. Now this is a spot for Carter with the infield back. They are conceding the run. And you want Chris Carter to do damage, but at the very least have to put the ball in play in a spot like this.
Look how far back they are.
Brewers led 1-0. Phillies scored 3 runs in the second. Brewers got 1 back in the fourth, and now they threaten here in the fifth with Lucroy at third. Two 2-0 to Carter. He's 0 for 2 today. Bullpen is active for Philadelphia. Colton Murray getting loose. There's a strike. Staying inside on Carter.
Yeah, that's what they've been doing. You know, fastballs in, sliders away off the plate.
How about that pitch? Called a strike. Pitch number 4, way in off the plate. And Carter in the right center. This is plenty deep. Lucroy will tag. And Goodell's throw comes in late. Lucroy is in. A sacrifice fly for Chris Carter. And we are all tied at 3.
Well, you're able to make contact on the 3-1 count. So it was good that that fourth pitch was called a ball. You know, Carter able to lift one deep enough to score the run. So the Brewers able to tie it up. The Brewers have actually out hit the Phillies today. 7-5. And Carter able to drive in another run.
Leadoff triple and a sacrifice fly. Brewers have 3 leadoff hits in this game, and they have all scored. VR's homer in the first, Santana's single in the fourth, and now Lucroy's triple. Here's Jeanette. Bases empty now, 1 away. Milwaukee with 7 hits now. 6 of those coming with 2 strikes. And Jeanette in a 1-1 count. Jeanette just seems a tick off. He was a little off coming back from the disabled list. Thought he got it back together. He did have 2 hits in the opener. The timing not quite right. He was locked in to start the year.
Yes, he was, just like he was locked in spring training.
Had an oblique injury that put him on the disabled list. 1-2 the count.
Very patient before he went on the DL. That pitch right there, way in and off the plate, and he tried to go after it, fouled it off. Those are pitches early in the season that he was taking for balls.
This could be Hellickson's last hitter or last inning, as Jeanette fights one off foul again. Count remains at 1-2. First 7 games of the season, Scooter Jeanette hit .409 and had 3 home runs in his first 7 games, including a home run on opening day against Madison Bumgarner. First ever home run for Jeanette against a left-handed pitcher in the big leagues. And down he goes. Defensive swing. Hellickson with a strikeout. 2 outs in the inning now.
Yep, off speed and fastballs in. He went away and fooled him.
That's a 4th strikeout for Hellickson, and that'll bring up Domingo Santana. Santana with a single and a walk today. Takes a fastball strike. Santana has great power. He's hit 3 home runs this year. He's got big opposite field power as well. Start get him back in a rhythm. And Miller Park, when it warms up in the summer, a home run hitter's park, just like this one.
And when he starts driving the ball to right center, you know he's starting to get locked in. It went hard to left his last time up.
Well, the Brewers have had some success with 2 strikes in this game. In the dirt. Good play back there by Ruiz.
Not sure how Ruiz blocks that ball when he has his legs stretched out like that. It's a good way to rip a hamstring, isn't it?
The agile Philly catcher. Part catcher, part gymnast. Here's a 2-2 from Hellickson. Santana rolls one to third. Big hop for Franco. And that will retire the side. But the Brewers get a leadoff triple from Lucroy. He scores on a Carter sac fly. We're all tied at 3 as we go to the bottom of the 5th inning.
Scored has tied this game at 3 apiece as we move to the bottom of the 5th inning. Time to check in with the crew in the community. You can support Brewers Community Foundation this season by rounding up in the Brewers team store. By rounding up your bill to the nearest dollar and donating your change to BCF, you can help change the lives of kids and families in need all around the state.
All right, Telly, thanks. Here we go to the bottom of the 5th inning already. The Phillies and the Brewers all tied at 3. Junior Guerra back at it. Brewers have come back for him. And a bunt on the first pitch from Herrera, the leadoff hitter, foul. Now Guerra was able to put up a 0. He had a battle in the 4th after a leadoff double. Stranded 2. Got the top of the order to deal with now. 3rd time through the batting order.
Yeah, middle of the order has been the problem part of the order for Garrett today.
The top 3 in the order are combined 0 for 6. Herrera, Galvis, Franco. One more game in Philadelphia tomorrow. Wraps up this brief 4-game road trip for the Brewers, and then they return home after a team off day Monday. Start a 2-game series with the A's Tuesday, and then a 4-game series at home against the Mets. Little jam shot back up the middle. It misses the base. VR with a good play. Fires a bullet over to Chris Carter for out number 1.
Yeah, that was a nice pitch that time by Garrett, right off the end of the bat by Herrera, and had some funny spin on it. You can see the spin on it. It's kind of like digging into the dirt, and that was a nice play over there by Jonathan VR, expecting that ball to maybe come near the bag, but played it nicely and got the out.
I'd love to get VR on the mound and see what kind of velocity he could generate on the slope. Freddie Galvis takes strike 1. Well, if you're Junior Guerra now and you've been basically without your best pitch, your swing and miss pitch, that split change, do you keep trying to find it, or you stick with the fastball slider combo that he's been using? There's Jeanette. He makes the play, spins and fires a strike. Well done, Scooter Jeanette. 2 up, 2 down on a couple of ground ball outs.
Able to go in the hole nicely that time. He made a terrific play in yesterday's ball game. And ball that was redirected, and he had to, make a nice play. He does the same thing here. Angles back nicely, has plenty of arm to get the out. So once again, the top of the order for the Phillies having a difficult time against Guerra.
Here's the key hitter, power hitter, Maikel Franco.
There's a splitter.
He had a good one too. That's the best one he's thrown since the first inning. Franco's 0 for 2. He struck out his last time up. And a slider got him to swing. 0-2 the count.
And sometimes you just have to make up pitches when you're out there struggling with your command. And Lucroy realizing that it's not the Junior Guerra that he's caught the first 6 outings, but Junior's been able to battle through it.
Lucroy wants to see that one again. 0-2 pitch. Almost made it to the dirt circle.
Nice block.
It's just instinct, right?
Yeah.
With
throw your
strikes.
body in front of it. It's going to hit something soft. There you go. Get that shoulder up there. Nice job.
That is such a good play. The quickness to be able to react as that ball bounces and comes up on you. 2 fun catchers to watch, Ruiz and Lucroy. Ooh, didn't miss by much. Went with a fastball. I think he fooled him on the pitch.
And that's the pitch that got him last time up. Franco swung right through it. But that was up in the zone. That was this was down.
2-2. Count goes full now. It's fascinating watching pitchers when they don't have their best stuff. How they try to solve the riddle, and you're trying to put all the pieces together. Can make it a quick inning here. He's got 2 outs. He's only thrown 10 pitches. The payoff to Franco is up and in. He misses, and ball 4. So Franco draws the walk. The second walk allowed by Guerra. It's a 2-out base runner for Tommy Joseph.
And these are the games where your catcher, Jonathan Lucroy, really earns his money, just trying to search for strikes. When a pitcher has great stuff, it really doesn't matter what you throw down there. He's going to be able to put it where he wants it. He's going to have good movement. But today, days like today, I mean, you earn your money calling a game, getting a guy through a game like this.
Well, now Guerra facing a hot hitter in Tommy Joseph, who has homered today. Hit one over the center field fence. It was a long homer back in the second inning. They call him Tojo here. Tommy Joseph. Acquisition from the Giants in the Hunter Pence deal. On the ground. Good breaking ball. That's going to get him out of the inning. So Junior Guerra rallies it up a little bit. He's through 5 now. Still tied at 3. We go to the 6th inning. Philadelphia, Citizens Bank Park, top of the 6th inning coming your way. The Brewers at the plate. Hey, a reminder, tomorrow the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series racing heads to the tricky Triangle Rock. That's at Pocono, and that's where Martin Truex Jr. looks to defend his title from last year. All starts tomorrow, 10:30 a.m. Central. It's only on FS1, or you can watch it live on Fox Sports Go. The tricky Triangle of Pocono.
That's about what, an hour and a half, 2 hours from here.
It's just a conversation away.
Yeah. Colton Murray continues here in the 6th inning for the Phillies. 12th appearance, a pretty good earned run average at 321. He got called up from AAA on April 30th. Last appeared in a game at the end of May against the Nationals. Gave up 3 runs in an inning of work, and that included a couple of homers. So he struggled his last time out.
He'll face Kirk Neuenhuis, and then the pitcher spot due up, and then back to the top of the order. Garrett giving up all 3 runs in the 2nd inning as Neuenhuis sends one out shallow left field. That's going to be the shortstop Galvis to make the call and the catch. 1 pitch and 1 out here in the 6th inning. And Guerra will bat. His pitch count's in good shape, and he's coming off a good inning in the 5th. So Craig Counsell will let it ride. Most important thing, at least last inning, looked like Guerra found his changeup, his split change. We've had 3 home runs today. The Phillies have hit 2. Tommy Joseph and Cesar Hernandez. That was all part of that 3-run inning. Hernandez home run was a 2-run shot. And then VR homer to start the game for the Brewers today. Guerra bounces to 3rd. And there is out number 2. Brewers found themselves down 3-1 going into the 4th, but runs in the 4th and the 5th to even it up. And with VR coming up, time now for the AT&T high-speed replay. He's got 3 of them in the replay machine, starting with his 2nd career leadoff homer. Infield hit in the 2nd, and then a clean single to right in the 4th. Drove in a run.
2 RBIs, a run scored. Is just a typical day at the office for Jonathan VR. And good solid defense at shortstop. Got to start plugging him for All-Star appearance.
No doubt.
I mean, I don't know how many shortstops are having a better year than he is.
He is certainly deserving, but he is not a name that is too recognizable around the league.
He might not be recognizable enough to get a starting nod, but certainly All-Star consideration to make the club.
And then you're relying on the managers. They get a vote, and then of course the players have a vote as well.
That's a good fastball for Murray. You know, fastball, you saw mid-90s, 95, and pretty good curveball to go with it. I'll throw a changeup once in a while, but not too often, mostly against lefties.
1 ball, 2 strikes on VR. Got him. Quick inning, 1, 2, 3. The Brewers go in order with a strikeout. 7 pitches from Murray. Not too far from Citizens Bank Park. It's a great spot. You want to come on the road and follow the Brewers. This is a highly recommended place to come. Independence Hall back there.
Yeah, a lot of history. And
now we talked about Jonathan Villar and him making a strong all-star push. The first results are out from all-star balloting right now. Addison Russell of the Cubs is the all-star starter. This will probably change quite a bit. And there are a lot of Cubs represented.
Jesus.
So the all-star game in San Diego this year. And it'll be on Fox as usual. Joe Buck and John Smoltz this season and company. Ken Rosenthal. Aaron Andrews, I think.
That's pretty good.
Just off the top of my head.
You know that already?
Well, I think they went through that at the seminar. I'm trying to remember. You were there, Rock. Did you doze off at that point?
No, I was tied up.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Cody Ashley leads off for the Phillies. Right to Carter, and Guerra is there for him. Out number 1 for Junior Guerra.
What else did I miss?
Well, Tony Petitti had a great talk with us. Nice chat. Tony Petitti, now with Major League Baseball, the gentleman who is the executive producer at MLB Network. I really enjoyed that conversation with Tony Petitti. He had some thoughts about the future of baseball and where baseball is headed, and some of the things that Rob Manfred has on his plate that he's thinking about as far as changes go. Everything's in the discussion mode right now. I think we've seen a couple of things come up lately that were discussed at the seminar, the MLB seminar. But number 1 was the strike zone, the high strike. Getting back to the standard strike zone that's in the rule book.
That's up around the letters. You're never going to see that strike zone. You think it's going to get that high?
Well, I don't know.
No.
I think that's what they'd like. That's what they're saying. So if you tell an umpire, look, that's.
So you go from the belt, which is now a ball.
Yeah.
To the letters. That's about a foot.
For some people.
For most of us.
There's a ground ball to VR. And there is out number 2.
The strike zone's going up a foot next year.
Well, now who wouldn't be able to adopt that? It would be. Were you saying that'd be hard on the umpires?
Hard on the hitters. I mean, it's hard enough already.
I think the idea is to promote all the high strikes on balls put in play. There's a higher batting average on high strikes, so it promotes more swings.
Swings and misses.
More
that's what it's going to be. Guys throwing 97. Got to swing at it up around the letters. No chance.
Well, that was one of the things.
Why do you think they lowered it? We'll see.
Hernandez on the ground. Jeanette lays out off his glove and a base hit. So Cesar Hernandez with his second hit. It's a 2-out single. A base runner for Ruiz. He's had a good day today, Hernandez. Switch hitting second baseman.
And so close to a 3-up 3-down inning for Junior Guerra, just out of the reach of Jeanette.
Guerra pitching in the bottom of the 6th. It has not been easy for him today. 3-run second, but the Brewers able to fight their way back to tie this game. And now a pickoff. Hernandez on his way to third. Jeanette's throw coming in. One hop, the tag. Safe. Just not quite enough on the throw from Jeanette. It was dying in the grass, and Hernandez goes first to third on an error from the mound.
Well, now what do? Do you walk Carlos Ruiz? You got a pinch hitter on deck. You got to go after Ruiz in this situation. At a point in the ball game where you know the pitcher is not going to get an at bat. Not a very good throw, by Junior Guerra, and Hernandez right away looking at his third base coach Juan Samuel. He's wheeling him around. And pretty good effort by Aaron Hill.
Yeah, if you're asking why he took the throws up the line so much. The throw was dying. It was going to come up short, and he took a chance at it. Stepped up a couple of steps to catch and swipe. If he waits back on it, Hernandez is going to be in there easily, and then Hill's got to deal with a second tough hop that might end up in the dugout.
Right. Scooter tried to get rid of it very quickly, and if it doesn't come up like that, the ball might hit the runner, and it might have been able to score.
Well, now Guerra's got to bow his neck again. He's had some high stress pitches in this game. Stranded 2 on in the 4th. Left a man on last inning.
This is the guy you want right here.
Ruiz has singled and walked. He's been a tough out for Guerra. Popped him foul.
The base hit he got was right off the end of the bat on a full count, a 3-2 pitch. Didn't hit it very hard. And then a long batter with the pitcher on deck. Guerra ended up walking him on a breaking pitch.
You got Will Smith and Carlos Torres in the bullpen. Three game, all tied up. Phillies have the go-ahead run at third base. Three balls and a strike now. The new Philly, Paredes, is on deck. He would pinch hit for the pitcher. And he popped him up. That's a pitch he needed. Guerra gets Ruiz in the air, and the side is retired. The Phillies strand 1. We are through 6. Tied at 3 in Philadelphia. Brewers coming up.
Philadelphia as we head to the 7th inning. This summer you can see both the Brew Crew and the Zoo for one low price. For just $20 you'll get a ticket to a Brewers game, an adult general admission ticket to the Milwaukee County Zoo, and a free lunch cooler. For details go to brewers.com/zoo.
Well, back on the mound, Colton Murray, impressive in his first inning. 3 up, 3 down. It took him just 7 pitches. And had a strikeout. Good work by Junior Guerra. Got the first 2 men out of the 6. He then gave up a hit and an error on a pickoff play. Phillies looking to take the lead, but Guerra gets Ruiz on this hot afternoon. Checking his hand. I wonder if he has a blister on that pitching hand or pitching finger. Not sure exactly what they're looking at down there. Aaron Hill will start it. The Brewers are right where they want to be in their batting order to start this 7th inning. Hill, Braun, and Lucroy. Aaron elevated to the 2 spot in the lineup today. He is 0 for 3. Ouch, drilled him. Fastball right in on him, and Hill will reach the hard way.
Yeah, take that in a tie game.
Easy to say from up here. Right?
Yeah, doesn't hurt from here. Yeah, got him right on the back of the shoulder.
So Hill is aboard, and here's Ryan Braun. Ryan today 1 for 3. Had a ground out with runners at second and third in the 4th inning that I'm sure is still bothering him a little bit. Brewers were down a run at the time. Ryan's been good though in the run producing situations this year. He has 33 runs batted in. His single in the 1st was with nobody on. He's got Hill at first right now.
I doubt Aaron Hill is going to try and steal. Yeah, not with Braun, Lucroy, Carter coming up.
Braun coming off back surgery last year. Right after the season ended, he went in for back surgery. This is his 46th game of the year. Overall, the Brewers are playing their 56th game. But not all of the missed games for Braun have been because of the back. He had 4 in a row, but he also missed some time, just a couple of days with a wrist injury. And then he had a sore neck most recently that knocked him out of the lineup for 3 days.
And it really does appear that he's moving around much better. I mean, maybe not 100%, but pretty close.
Braun credits the athletic training staff for the quick recoveries. He has not had to go on the disabled list this year, even though he's been out of the lineup for a few stretches at a time, few days. But when he's been in there, he's been the Brewers' best hitter by far. Second in the National League starting play today. Now Braun is on the Powerball home run leaderboard with 9. He and Lucroy are tied with 9. Chris Carter still sets the pace with 14. Braun's had some of his great offensive days here in Philadelphia. Had a 3-homer game in this ballpark a couple of years ago. 1 ball, 2 strikes on Braun. 2-2 now.
That's that breaking pitch from Murray. Very inconsistent with that pitch. And you got to figure he's going to be attacking Ryan Braun with that fastball again.
Braun chops it over to third base. That is a foul ball.
Wow.
Close.
Close. Yes, it was.
It definitely bounced on the line, but it's got to get to the bag fair to be a fair ball. And right there on the play, the third base umpire, Manny Gonzalez.
Not reviewable when it's in front of the umpire. Yep, there you go. Good call. Not by much.
That gives Braun another swing. Hot day out there, huh? Look at the sweat, the shirt of the third base umpire. Hot and humid here in Philly. Good baseball weather. 2-2 pitch. A called strike three. Braun knew it.
Oh.
Fooled him with a fastball.
Looking for something else. That was right down the middle. All right, Ryan kicking himself as he goes back to the dugout. Well, you talk about center cut fastball. Check this out. Wow. Fox Tracks had it right on the inside corner at the knees, but it looked pretty good to me.
And Braun an about face. Here's Jonathan Lucroy now. Murray's been impressive out of the bullpen for the Phillies. 2 strikeouts now. Lucroy's had a good day so far. A single, a triple. He scored the tying run in the 5th. Had a stolen base in the 3rd inning. That batting average just keeps rising. He's hitting .310 now. Now Lucroy has answered all the questions about could he come back and be the kind of hitter that he had been throughout his career until last year. Last season had a stint on the disabled list early that had him playing catch up for the rest of the season. It felt like he was on the disabled list for 38 games for about 5 weeks last year. 3rd week of April till the last week of May with that broken toe.
Yeah, but even before that, he was having a difficult time at the plate. I mean, he had a good spring. Then all of a sudden, when the season started, he just couldn't buy a hit. Wasn't striking out a whole lot, but just couldn't buy a hit. And it just kind of snowballed on him. And just couldn't get out of it.
Well, and you think about Lucroy in 2014. That was his record-setting year when he set the major league record for doubles by a catcher in a single season. So you come off a season where you've stacked up impressive numbers, get hurt early, you're struggling, and then you get hurt, and now you've got to sit on that as the season is rolling along. The Brewers are struggling. Ron Renicky ends up losing his job. Lucroy takes a lot of that burden, carries a lot of that burden, not just for the offense, but the pitching staff as well. And that's really what the big problem was, the pitching staff early in the season. And when he came back, I think the pressure of trying to be an impact player right away, and his season was just never the same. It was a tremendous drop. Hit just .264, only 7 homers. And the on-base percentage, I think, is what burned him the most. Wasn't taking his walks. He just was pressing.
Yeah, they're trying to do too much. He's trying to drive in all the runs. He's trying to pick up everybody, and when you try and do that, and usually good things don't happen for you. You just got to relax like he is this year. If he doesn't get it done, maybe somebody behind him is going to drive in a run. You just can't take on that responsibility by yourself.
Well, if the Brewers make it back and rebuild the way they want and become a contender again, then you'll look back at 2015 and say that was the medicine to take. As Lucroy right on the barrel into center field, but right at Herrera. Second out of the inning. That 15 season was one to forget.
They barreled up that curveball that time for Murray, but unfortunately right at the center fielder.
So 2 men are out. Here is Chris Carter now. Sac fly and an RBI in the 5th inning. Tied the game. Carter homered in the opener of this series Thursday. His 14th. Fastball on the outside corner. Well placed. 0-2 the count on Carter.
Yeah, breaking ball, then fastball. Froze him. Carter likes that fastball away. He took it. Maybe looking for something off speed. That right on the edge, borderline, but he got the call.
It's fascinating to watch Carlos Ruiz when he catches. The difference between the way he caught pitch number 2 and pitch number 3, pitches that aren't that much apart, but he makes the ball look like a really bad pitch, and then if it's close, he can make what looks like a fraction on our Fox tracks. He can make that look like a really good pitch.
Good catchers do that, you know, framing pitches, but you don't want to frame pitches that aren't even close to the strike zone. I mean, you get that reputation, and umpires aren't going to give you anything.
It is an art. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Like that. Wow.
Look how close most of these pitches are. Not missing by much.
And Ruiz just sticks it.
Sticks the landing, holds it up there a little bit, brings it up just a touch. Pitches 3 and 5, pretty close.
Carter in a full count now. Got a runner at first. There goes Hill. Outside, ball 4. So a walk here with 2 outs puts the go-ahead run in scoring position. That was a terrific at-bat by Carter. Maybe leaving it into the umpire's hands a little more than he'd like.
Taking a couple of very close pitches, but got away with it. Here comes Bob McClure.
Now, do you figure McClure, and we won't know this, but do you figure he's out there to just give him a breather, or you figure he spots something that he's trying to clean up?
Maybe relying a little bit too much on one pitch or another. And yeah, he got ahead, did Murray? He got ahead of Chris Carter with a slider and really didn't throw another one really close to the strike zone, trying to get him to chase. A lot of fastballs in that sequence. Maybe pitch selection discussion, maybe.
You know, one of the things we were talking about, Tony Petitti of Major League Baseball at the seminar, one thing that he brought up was the potential of limiting the visits to the mound. You know, that might be a way to get to a better pace. It's not that you just want the games to go faster, it's that you want the decision moments to come faster. Eliminate the dead space, especially when you get runners on base. Big spot for the Brewers here. 2 on, Jeanette at the plate, 2 outs. Tie game. We're in the 7th inning. And it's 2-0 on Scooter. Phillies are asking a lot out of Murray. He came on, he pitched the 6th inning. It's 3 up, 3 down. Araujo is in the bullpen.
Well, Murray is a guy that can give you multiple innings. He's had a 3-inning outing this year. There's a lot of indecision out there. That just slows down the pace of games as well. Pitchers not throwing strikes. Indecision, taking a lot of time between pitches.
Scooter Jeanette in a big spot. Takes a strike. Murray was a starting pitcher in AAA. Phillies AAA is in Las Vegas. Brought him up in late April. Outside, ball 3. Well, a walk here would load him up. Certainly be the last hitter for Murray. Pitch count rising now.
No surprise he's facing Jeanette here. Now you got a right-hander on deck, Santana. You got a left-hander getting loose.
Well, Scooter in the driver's seat. Trying to cash him in. Hill's at second, Carter's at first in a tie game. And Jeanette fouls it away. He was late. Crowd trying to help him out. Getting started with a hit batter. And then a walk to Carter with 2 outs. Jeanette pops it up. Left field, Ashe is there. And the Brewers strand 2 more. The inning is over. We go to the bottom of the 7th. Stretch time in Philadelphia. We're tied at 3. And the Phillies are coming up. And Craig Counsell is going to make a pitching change. But first, our Carsoup.com trivia. The 3 players in Brewers history to pitch in at least 350 games. Think longevity. Got Dan Plesac, who came in as the closer. Jim Slayton, and there's Bob McClure. Third on that list.
The Sack Man, MLB Network.
Dan's doing a great job.
I called all those guys.
Yeah?
Yeah, Jim Slayton.
Who was your favorite, Rock?
They were all my favorite, Brian.
All right, Will Smith is on to pitch as we go to the bottom of the 7th inning.
Yeah, first appearance on Thursday. Outstanding work for Will. His first time back this year, and inning in the 3rd scoreless. Allowed only 1 hit.
1 bad inning for Junior Guerra, giving up 3 runs. Not the only inning he allowed any runs. He'll exit with a no decision. Another quality start for Guerra. Peter Borges leads off. First ball swinging. Long run for Carter in foul territory. He's got it. 1 pitch and 1 out for Will Smith.
Yeah, when you look at Guerra, I mean, that was his guttiest performance so far. I mean, really didn't have a whole lot of off-speed stuff to go with his fastball today. Didn't really have the split. And if you look at his last start against the Cardinals, it was 1 inning that hurt him. It was a 3-run 3rd. Gave up 4 runs overall, only 3 earned. So he had a quality start in that start at Miller Park, and another one here today.
Well, he's been a nice find for the Brewers, no question. I think today's the day. You're right, though. Today's the day. I'll be interested to hear from him after the game. But, you know, when you don't have your A game and you can still muscle through and pitch 6 innings, keep your team in the game, only give up 3 runs, that's a good job.
And a good job by Jonathan Lucroy realizing, you know, he didn't have his same stuff and went a different route. A lot of fastballs today. Didn't rely so much on that split. Always got to give the catcher some accolades.
Hanging the signs. Odubel Herrera at the plate, and the breaking ball from Smith misses. This is Will's second game back. He was terrific in his first game back. Matter of fact, he went across 2 innings. He went an inning and a third in that game on Thursday. And when the Brewers get in a position with their A bullpen, their winning version of their bullpen, which now includes Smith once again, they can be tough to score on.
Will had a good breaking pitch his first time out. No surprise. Velocity a little bit down, but you would expect that to start getting a little better as he continues to get appearances. Get that rhythm down out there on the mound, but still a pretty good effort.
Phillies leadoff hitter Herrera, and a swing and a grounder. Got to hurry it up. Jeanette on a short hop, fires to first in time. Heck of a play. Scooter Jeanette, a tough hop and a tough throw, and a speedy runner going down the line. The second out of the inning.
Yeah, had to get rid of it very quickly. Herrera, he can scoot, particularly quick down to first base from the left side of the plate. Yeah, high chopper over the head of Smith. You knew right there it was going to be a tough play. Any problems at all, he was going to be safe. A little bit of a bobble, a little bit off the mark. It would have been safe, but Scooter made a nice play to get him out.
That's beautiful how he took that ground ball right on the palm,
heel,
not in the webbing, where he could feel it and get rid of it quickly. Well done. 2 outs now. Here's Freddie Galvis. The top of the Phillies order. Brewers have been able to hold them down. They are now 0 for 9 at the plate. The first 3 batters in their lineup. In the air to right, make it 0 for 10. Santana is there, and Will Smith, a 3-up, 3-down 7th inning. We go to the 8th in Philadelphia, all tied at 3. Johnson is brought to you by Miller Lite, the original light Pilsner. Cheers, it's Miller time. And by the Wisconsin Lottery, reminding you to please play responsibly. The famous steps at the Art Museum. That's a good run right there. Good enough for Rocky, it's good enough for you. Center City off in the distance of Philadelphia. We are tied at 3 now, going to the 8th inning. Don't forget, tomorrow it's the series finale, weather permitting. Our Miller Lite What's on Tap. Airtime is noon in Milwaukee in the Central Time Zone. Willie Peralta against Aaron Nola. You might have seen a few Aaron Nola t-shirts out today. It's Nola's birthday, and they did a Aaron Nola Phillies t-shirt day today giveaway, and they're in the LSU colors.
Yeah.
Where he went to school. So they're not red, they're purple and yellow.
First of all, I can't believe you're jumping on the rain bandwagon.
I was just saying, weather
permitting.
I'm just hedging my bets.
What is that? Come on.
Hector Neris is in for Philadelphia.
Yeah, we saw him last night. He's got a good split-fingered fastball. Throws pretty good. The fastball. 30 appearances for Neris. These guys throw a lot. And Neris has appeared in back-to-back days.
Neris with that great splitter.
Actually, this is 3 days in a row for him.
Yeah. That was one thing about the Brewers' effort yesterday. They were down 6-0. And if you're on the Phillies side of things, you're hoping to make that a breeze into the finish line and not have to go use your top relievers. But the Brewers scored 3 runs. They were able to get in striking distance. And that forced Pete McCannon to go to his top relievers, Hernandez and Neris and Jean-Marc Gomez. And let's see if that has any effect today. As Santana sends one deep to left, way back. Goodbye. Domingo Santana with a home run. And the Brewers take a 4-3 lead. Out of here like a flash. Santana's second hit of the game. His 4th home run of the season.
Yeah, got a fastball and outer half and just hooked it out of here. Boy, he's strong. The leverage, he's big and tall, stands tall up there at the plate. You can see that pitch is away a little bit. A fastball at 94. He just buggy whips it out of the ballpark. So the Brewers able to come back and they take a 4-3 lead.
Well, as dominant as Neris has been the first 2 days, this 3rd day the Brewers finally get him. Domingo Santana.
Good to have him back, huh? 2 hits and a walk.
And Bob McClure back out to the mound. All smiles for Santana. You know, you watch him hit. Everything is so peaceful looking until he swings. And then it is just, there's plenty of power and violence in that swing.
Yeah, like a lightning bolt through the strike zone. That's how he's able to be so patient at the plate, and he doesn't commit too soon. He lets the ball get to him. Very quick hands. We remember that from last year, how quick his hands were, particularly on the inner half of the plate.
There's a line shot caught at first. Joseph reaches out on the backhand and takes a hit away from Neuenhuis. Tough break for Kirk. He hit that right on the button. 1 pitch and 1 out for Neuenhuis. Back to the Santana home run.
Hardly any movement in that swing, and before he starts his bat to the baseball. Check it out. Nice and easy, very relaxed. Kind of just balancing that bat, and then just that bat like a lightning bolt through the strike zone.
That's a great look at it. I mean, you know, Chris Carter's nickname is Sleepy. Domingo Santana could give him a good run for his money in that category. He just looks very calm.
That's a good attribute when you're up at the plate. You don't want a lot of movement.
Alex Presley pinch hitting, rolls one to second, and the second out of the inning. Two outs to the top of the order now. Jonathan Villar, who started the game today with a home run. He's hit 5 now. He's hit 3 in the last 3 games, all as a left-handed batter. Jonathan says he has more power from the right side, but now has more homers from the left side than he does the right.
It's a good ballpark to hit him from whichever side you're up. Yeah, one right down the left field line, hit the foul pole. Today a bullet to right, and he hit one to center, using the whole field.
No balls, 2 strikes on VR. 3 hits today. 2 runs batted in for Jonathan. He's got 25 ribbies now. Well, the Brewers are set up now. They have a lead into the late innings. Little ground ball to short. Galvis fires it to first in time to end the inning. Well, Domingo Santana steps up to lead off. He's got great opposite field power. Showed some pull power here, and the Brewers have the lead 4-3 as we go to the bottom of the 8th. Out of the 8th. Now the Brewers right where they want to be with a lead late, and their terrific bullpen. Tyler Thornburg, the setup man, will get the 8th, and he'll have Maikel Franco leading off, then Tommy Joseph, and then Cody Ashley right in the heart of the Phillies order.
Yeah, Tyler has not allowed a run over his last 10 appearances. That covers 9 1/3 innings. Last pitched on Thursday against the Phillies. A 3-up, 3-down 8th.
Drops a first pitch curveball for a strike. Power hitter here in Franco. He is 0 for 2 with a walk. Now the Brewers this year, when they lead after 7 innings, they are 21-2. Craig Counsell has seen his bullpen lock down opponents. When they lead after 8 innings, they're 21-1.
Yeah, maybe the strongest part of this ball club, the Brewers bullpen, particularly as you get into the winning scenarios.
And Franco to center field. Back on it is Neuenhuis. Just enough room.
Playing deep. Didn't have to go back very far.
1 away in the 8th.
Hey, that brings us to today's Tavern of the Game. Is it tonight? Korth Badger Tap in Embarrass, Wisconsin. If they call the Brewers by 8 o'clock tomorrow morning, they get 40 tickets to a Friday night game in the Miller Lite Beer Pen. This offer courtesy of the Tavern League of Wisconsin. And Miller Lite, you check the card. We weren't sure if
nothing nothing embarrassing about Embarrass.
Korth Badger Tap.
Pop up, foul territory. Playable. Hill is there, and Lucroy, they collide. It ends up in the glove of Lucroy. And the second out.
All smiles when you catch him.
It's all fun and games until somebody gets hurt.
Yep, normally catcher's going to give way to the position player who's got a much easier play on that. I guess maybe Lucroy didn't hear Hill. Hill didn't hear Lucroy. But Luke that made the catch, long as somebody catches it.
Who wants it more is really the question there. So 2 outs, 2 big batters retired for Thornburg. Cody Ashe now, who's doubled today, 1 for 3. The guy with the glove that's designed to catch. A little easier to catch.
Well, most catchers are more than willing to peel off and let the third baseman catch that, but and not Luke.
Lucroy taking the caveman approach to foul balls.
That glove right there is not designed to catch pop-ups. That is.
That one is. Pop-up priority, right? Well, no problem as long as the out is made. Big hammer in there for a strike. I tell you, Thornburg, he's something. He's throwing everything he has whenever he wants for strikes.
Yeah, sometimes, you know, when he's going well, he really does make it look good. Of course, this inning is not over yet. He makes it look easy.
2 outs, 8th inning. Brewers lead by a run. Shift is on for Ashe. And a swing and a miss. Tyler Thornburg making it look easy each and every night. A scoreless 8th goes right through the heart of the Phillies order in order. Brewers lead by a run. We go to the 9th in Philadelphia. Summary: game started with a homer by Jonathan VR, his 2nd career leadoff homer, and then a home run by Joseph in the 2nd to tie it. Phillies would add 2 more with this swing in the 2nd inning. Cesar Hernandez made it 3-1 Philadelphia. And then it was 3-3 all the way until the 8th. Domingo Santana, leadoff home run. His 4th of the year, his 1st since coming back from the DL, and the Brewers have a lead. Thornburg was just impressive in the 8th, and now we go to the 9th and Andrew Bailey.
Yeah, he looked good in yesterday's game. An inning and 2/3 scoreless for Bailey. Back at it here this afternoon.
Aaron Hill leads away for the Brewers. Bailey, the 2nd of the 3 former rookies of the year to play in this game. Hellickson and Bailey, who won it with the Oakland A's, and the other Ryan Howard,
who we may see in the 9th.
Just might do that. Phillies are at the bottom of their order, 6, 7, and 8. Will Smith and Tyler Thornburg putting the lockdown on the Phillies in the 7th and the 8th.
Yeah, when Tyler Thornburg, I mean, it's not often that he struggles, but you know, when he has his stuff going like he has had just about every outing this year, particularly his last 10, I mean, it makes it look easy. I mean, everything he throws is for strikes and good quality strikes.
He threw 9 pitches in the 8th inning, 6 of them for strikes. In a 3-up, 3-down inning, barely broke a sweat. He probably threw 40 pitches in the bullpen preparing for that outing. That's the way you want it if you're a reliever, though.
Coming in throwing strikes, you don't want to be walking guys, getting behind. Really has been something watching this bullpen this year. You know, Blazek goes down, you get Will Smith back, and it's been a lot of fun to watch these guys. Jacob Barnes last night, his first major league appearance. 3 up, 3 down, and Jeffress looking for another save here today.
Well, Bailey. Facing Aaron Hill in the 9th. Braun to follow, then Lucroy. Now, we talked about it in the pregame show today, but the way the Brewers are rebuilding their organization, looking for arms, going after not just power arms either, but the variety that you see in the bullpen. It is truly the most significant building block to try to get back to a contender. And we've seen it already. You look at the Royals bullpen, that's coming our way. Oh, I was ready for that. But you see the way the Royals built their bullpen, and I think they got a huge hit on Wade Davis. I don't think anybody expected Wade Davis to be the dominant pitcher he is, but that's how you win. That's how you hold leads. That's how you stay in games. Brewers have been in a lot of low scoring close games primarily because of the work of their bullpen. So,
and the ability to come back after falling behind early because of the bullpen.
Way inside, almost hit him, and Hill will draw the walk. Well, I think if you're talking about the pieces that are going to be there for the long haul and part of the picture, certainly Barnes is, after what he's done in AAA this year and what he did in his major league debut last night. Thornburg has settled in that 8th spot, but these are the pieces, Rock, that moving forward might be the most advanced part of this rebuild for Milwaukee.
Well, and a lot of them not very old. I mean, and you know, Jeremy Jeffress, first year as a closer, doing a bang-up job. You got Barnes that has come up. Marinez has looked very good. Some guys that have really stepped up out of that Brewers bullpen. It's not just the last 3 guys at the end of a game when you're in a winning scenario. Everybody's been throwing well.
Well, Braun pops out in foul territory as you see Jeffress getting loose and preparing for a potential save opportunity. That's really been one of the more significant changes in the game over the last decade or so, right? I mean, you think about the Giants, their 3 World Series titles. Yes, they have great starting pitching, but it was their bullpen, the variety in their bullpen.
You gotta have a lefty, one of those lockdown lefties against left-handed hitters when you're getting into the postseason. The bullpen's just as important, if not even more important, as you get down the stretch and get into the postseason in your starting rotation. Look what the Cardinals did in 2011, right? Against the Brewers. Not one starter went past, what, 4 or 5 innings?
5 innings, that's right.
5 innings. It was all about bullpen.
Lucroy up there with one away. Jonathan with 2 hits today. That triple in the 5th set up a sac fly by Carter, and that tied the game at 3. And Lucroy rips it back up the middle, a base hit. Wow, what a pretty swing that was.
And his third hit.
VR with 3 hits, Lucroy with 3 hits. The Brewers have 9 for the game, and now first and second for Carter.
Lucroy able to pull the hands in on that fastball and just shoot it right back through the middle. Check it out. Watch the knob of the bat lead the barrel, and that's how you take a fastball inside and rip it into center field. Look at it. You know, the hands lead the bat through the strike zone, and that's the way you hit a ball that hard back through the middle. And a pitch in, middle in.
Now, if you're a young player out there and you're right-handed, that's the swing to try to lock in your brain. It's not an easy one to groove, but that's the one. That is a beautiful swing.
Well, you got to have confidence in your hands and trust yourself. You don't jump out after that fastball that's in.
Chris Carter now with 2 on. He's down 0-1. What do you make out of the fact that the Brewers have, of their 9 hits, 7 of them with 2 strikes today?
Yeah, making mistakes. The Phillies pitching staff making mistakes when they're ahead in the count. That was definitely a mistake by Bailey to Lucroy. And hitters hit mistakes. They don't hit good pitches normally. You particularly don't hit home runs on good pitches.
Ninth inning, Brewers by 1, looking for more here as Carter takes a strike. 1 and 2 on Chris Carter. He could add another to his RBI total. He drove one in with a sac fly in the 5th inning. He's the club leader in RBIs with 34. Brewers had won 8 straight games here in Philadelphia until their loss yesterday. Phillies won the game. They snapped their 7-game losing streak on the season. With the Brewers trying to put them back in the loss column. Due up for the Phillies in the 9th. It'll be Goodell, Hernandez, and Ruiz. And Carter trying to give Jeffress a little insurance here in the 9th. Had a good swing at it. He fouls it back.
It looks like Carlos Torres is getting loose in the bullpen just in case Chris Carter knocks one out of here. Give the Brewers a 4-run lead. Jeremy's ready.
Two on for Carter. Hill's out at second, Lucroy at first. Able to lay off the high fastball. 2-2 now. Well, if this goes along with the trend of the day, Carter's got Bailey right where he wants him with 2 strikes.
2 strikes is where the Brewers have been doing a lot of their damage, right?
And Carter into center field, backing up his Herrera, still going back. And at the track, he makes a catch. Both runners are going to tag. Lucroy into second with Hill to third. 2 outs in the inning now. Carter gave it a ride, but he just missed it on the bat.
And another mistake by the Phillies. A hanging breaking pitch, and Carter nearly hit it out of the ballpark. Just got it back in the zone just enough to keep it in the ballpark.
And that'll send Scooter Gennett to the plate. Scooter's had his chances with men on today. Would love to cash in. Left a runner at second in the 3rd inning. Left 2 on in the 7th. He's got 2 on here in the 9th. Base hit should score 2. Ruiz going through the signs. 2 on, 2 outs. And Jeanette fouls it away.
Good pitch to hit right there, right down the middle. Scooter's been just a little bit behind today. Been behind the fastball. Had the count in his favor last time up 3-1. Let one get in on him a little bit. Fouled it back. Ended up popping up.
Two balls and a strike. A win today. The Brewers secure at least a split here, but they set themselves up for a chance to win the series in Philadelphia. One more to play tomorrow. Craig Counsell's team is hanging in there. They've won 6 of their last 10. 5 games under 500 on the season. There's a strike to Jeanette. 2-2. The 5 games under 500 for the Brewers, all represented in the road record. On the last road trip, the Brewers went 3-3, but they ended up with a sweep in Atlanta after getting swept in New York. Turn those road fortunes around, and you never know. Bailey against Jeanette. 2-2 the count. A couple of big runs out there. Aaron Hill started this inning with a walk. Then Lucroy singled with 1 out. Now 2 gone. And Jeanette takes a ball. Yikes. Boy, that was close.
Hey, good take.
What an eye, right?
Let's check it out. Bailey hitting the target, just missing that outside corner by half an inch.
Wow. 10 full counts in this game for the Brewers. Doing a great job working the counts, getting deep. 3-2 on the way, and a line drive base hit by Jeanette. Hill is in. Here comes Lucroy. He'll score. Scooter Jeanette delivers with a 2 RBI single, and the Brewers up 6-3 here in the 9th.
Nice at bat by Scooter, working the count. Took a very close pitch on a 2-2 count. And then Bailey having to come in, didn't want to mess around and have to deal with Santana, who's been red hot. And he's able to line that one back into center field. You see that Bailey missed his spot. You could see the way Ruiz had to reach for that baseball into center field. Runners on the move, and the Badger Mutual Insurance 2 runs of the game, courtesy of Scooter Jeanette, a 2-out base hit.
Terrific moment for Jeanette. He had struggled all day with men on base. Delivers when the Brewers need him in the 9th. 2 RBI single, 1 for 5 at the plate today is Jeanette.
You say why? You ask why so many 2-out hits. Did you see how Ruiz had to reach for that pitch? It wasn't even close. A mistake by Bailey, and Jeanette made him pay for it.
I think that is the big story in this game. 8 of the 10 Brewer hits coming with 2 strikes. They pushed 10 full counts out of the Philly pitchers. Santana takes a strike. Domingo homered to start the 8th. That's what gave the Brewers the lead. Launched one into the left center field bleachers. He's got 2 hits today and a walk. Snap throw, close. Jeanette is back. Brewers did the same thing here on Thursday night. Had a 1-run lead, and then VR hit the 2-run homer to put him up 3. Jeremy Jeffress came on, nailed down the save, gave him a little cushion to work with.
Jeremy's ready. Torres still hoping he gets an opportunity. Another run, he's going to be in.
Well, Santana looking for his 3rd hit of the day. And a called strike 3 to end the inning. Clutch 2-out, 2-strike hitting by Scooter Gennett delivers 2 RBIs, and the Brewers now lead by 3. Jeremy Jeffress coming on for the save. It would be number 15. The Brewers are 3 outs away from taking 2 out of 3 in this series.
Three-run lead, and keep up with the crew wherever you are with MLB.com At Bat, the official app of the Brewers, featuring live broadcasts, scoring updates, breaking news, and more. Download At Bat today, free for your smartphone or tablet.
Well, here we go to the bottom of the 9th inning. Last call for the Phillies. And our game this afternoon on Fox Sports Wisconsin, presented by Potawatomi Hotel and Casino. Jeremy Jeffress trying to nail down save number 15.
Yeah, save number 14 on Thursday here against the Phillies. Gave up a hit, but a scoreless 9th inning. That included a couple of strikeouts. He's throwing about 98 miles an hour with that fastball after giving up a leadoff double. And looking for number 15. Looking for 15 out of 16.
Jeffress has not allowed a run on the road this year across 10 innings of work. He's only had the 1 blown save this season. And his first fastball at 97 on Goodell is in there for a strike. He gave up that leadoff double on Thursday, and after that it was lights out.
It woke him up, I think.
He started firing that fastball in there in the upper 90s. There's a little jam shot over to third. Nice easy hop. Aaron Hill makes the play. 1 away for Jeffress here in the 9th. Now you move into this closer's role and you have to assume a different personality. Jeffress is about as fun-loving and funny and easygoing as it gets, but that's a different story when he's between the lines, and especially now that he's assumed that closer's role.
He's handled it nicely. I mean, nobody really knew how it was going to be handled by Jeremy. Being the last line of defense is a lot different than anything else you do out there as a pitcher. The closer. And he's handled it nicely.
His career was on the brink a number of times. He was a first rounder out of high school out of Virginia Beach. Had some substance abuse problems in the minor leagues. He's very open about that. He speaks to it was diagnosed with juvenile epilepsy when he ended up in the Blue Jays system, and that diagnosis and the medication that followed, he says, changed his career, changed his outlook. He has thrived on the mound since that time. He went from being a so-so pitcher with a great arm to being a bona fide big league closer. And talk about a guy who is making a run at an all-star nod, perhaps. He's going to have to keep this going, but if he does, with the number of saves that he's racking up, you would certainly put him in the grouping for all-star consideration. A save today would put him within 3 of the National League lead for saves. There's a base hit. Hernandez with his 3rd hit.
Yeah, he's locked in, isn't he? Home run, a couple of base hits. A 3-1 fastball from Jeffress. Big velocity, able to turn it around into left field.
And that'll bring up Carlos Ruiz.
Yeah, first base runner today off the bullpen for the Brewers.
And for the Phillies, it's only the 3rd hit since the 3-run 2nd inning. Will Smith worked a scoreless 7th. Tyler Thornburg scoreless 8th. And a man on for Philadelphia. Their first base runner since Hernandez singled in the 6th inning. That was off Guerra. Junior Guerra started a quality start today statistically. 6 innings, 3 runs. It'll be a no decision for Guerra today. Right now, Will Smith is in line for the win. Brewers took the lead in the 8th with a home run by Santana and then 2 more in the 9th. And those are looking pretty big right now with a man on. Jeffress frustrated. He thought that was a strike.
Yeah, it looked pretty good on Fox tracks. Not good enough.
2-0 on Ruiz. Brewers are set up for a double play ball. That would end the game here. And Ruiz takes a strike. 98 with a fastball right on the black.
Yeah, with movement.
He puts another one there, and it's over. This at bat. That's the Hall of Fame spot. If you can live out there, that's where you'll end up.
Yep.
It's hard to do, though. 2 balls and a strike on Ruiz. 99 with the fastball.
Yeah, that arm angle with the movement and the velocity. It's incredible that you can get both of those things at the same time. A lot of pitchers have to give up a little bit of velocity to put movement on like that, but not Jeffress.
It's his best fastball of the year right there. Give Ruiz credit for fouling it off. He's a tough out in spots like this. Ground ball over the head of Jeffress. Easy for Jeanette. And there is out number 2. So the Phillies down to their last out. And the cheers you hear is for Ryan Howard, who will come on as a pinch hitter.
That's why that out by Ruiz was a big one. Howard can't beat you here.
Howard sent to the bench. Very public benching by manager Pete Mackanin, going with the young bat of Tommy Joseph, who has had a great series for the Phillies. He's hitting every game. He's hit 2 homers in this series. And now Howard has sort of become the sentimental fan favorite off the bench now. does Jeffress just keep the pressure on Howard with the big fastballs?
Yeah, fastballs in on him have been difficult on him this year.
Tying run and in the on-deck circle. Jeffress with a 3-run lead, trying to nail it down. Jeffress had it bounce off his glove. He recovers and he throws him out to end the game. The Brewers win. Jeremy Jeffress with a behind-the-back stop on a ground ball. And the Brewers win their second game of this series, number 15 for Jeremy Jeffress.
And no panic in Jeremy Jeffress. Check it out. Just like routine play, backhand. Still no panic. Grabs the baseball and throws him out.
Good ball game for the Brewers today. They win it 6-3. And the final out with a little sass on it from Jeremy Jeffress. So the Brewers have a chance to win this series 3 out of 4. With the finale tomorrow. Lucroy with 3 hits. VR